Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Prairie View Cricket Complex, Prairie View, Texas, Central Division of the 2025 Minor League cricket season. Today's matchup featuring the MetroPlex Tracers, who are the home team today, facing the Kings 11 Dallas. Kings 11 Dallas is at the top of the table. MetroPlex Tracers are there or thereabouts, and this is going to be a fantastic day's worth of cricket. Openers making their way to the middle now, Remandar, and we do have a substitute opening batter. Unmuk Chan, the wicketkeeper batter, is unfortunately not available today, and so in his place we will have a replacement. I believe that replacement, in fact I won't speculate, we'll see who it is shortly, but just know that the two openers are walking out to bat because the MetroPlex Tracers winning the toss, and Captain Shubham Ranjan is choosing under brilliant, humid, warm conditions to have a bowl. So they'll be batting second, and the Dallas, or make that Kings 11 Dallas, will be taking the field, in fact taking the strike first. It's going to be an interesting matchup, as I said, because this is the Central Division, and under the Central Division you certainly have a very strong couple of teams at the very top. Kings 11 Dallas at the very top of the table. Chicago Kingsmen is second. Fourth place is the MetroPlex Tracers, but these teams are all bunched together very closely. Kings 11 Dallas, number 1, 8 points. Chicago Kingsmen also with 8 points, Kings 11 Dallas being on top by virtue of a better net run rate. The number 3 team, Dallas Explorers Giants, have 7 points. Number 4, MetroPlex Tracers, 6 points. So in other words, for each win you get 2 points, which means that if the MetroPlex Tracers were to win this game, they'd be back in or around the first place mark, and it will be very interesting to see how this develops the rest of the way here. Opening the bowling with spin, Nosh Kenjige is the man with the ball in hand. So this is a matchup of the irresistible force against the immovable object, if you will. Remandar is the leading batter in the side for the Kings 11 Dallas. 175 runs on the season, 22 fours, 4 sixes, high score of 61. Look at that strike rate, top of the order, 125. That's the irresistible force. The immovable object is the man in your screen right now. Nosh Kenjige, left arm orthodox, very wily, very smart, brilliant bowler. It is a bit of a chance that you're taking bowling a left arm orthodox bowler to a left-handed batter inside the power play, because of course when the ball turns from the left-hander, it turns into the left-handed batter, and so in theory that would play right into the hands of Remandar, who is always going to be looking to score big. It's going to be an interesting matchup. First up, Nosh Kenjige with 7 wickets on the season so far, best bowling of 4 for 14, economy rate of 7.3 for somebody who bowls during the power play and sometimes at the death. That's actually a very, very good economy rate. And in fact, it's the second best economy rate on the side among the bowlers in the top 7. The only one with a lower economy rate is Arshil Rajendra with 7.25. So it's good to have your left arm orthodox who can bowl inside the power play and only concede 7 runs and over. That generally is a very good statistic. But it will not be easy against this side again. Remandar, one of the leading batters in the league and certainly the leading batter on the side. Remandar, as I said earlier, has 175 runs with an average of 43. And while average can sometimes be a misleading statistic in cricket, generally if you're talking about a top order batter, that average is about what you can expect from them at the top of the lineup. So a little bit of a delay while the scorers get what they under under the way. And in the meantime, we just want again to go to the overall leagues table to see what the situation is. So we'll go top to bottom in the Central Division. Number 1, as I said before, Kings 11 Dallas. Chicago Kingsmen are number 2. X4 Giants number 3. MetroPlex Tracers number 4. And again, just 2 points separates teams 1 and 4. Then the bottom half of the league table, you have the Chicago Tigers, 2 wins, 3 losses. Lone Star Athletics, 2 wins and 3 losses also. They're number 6. Number 7, Michigan Cricket Stars, 1 win, 2 losses, 3 no results. So weather has been a factor in their games. And then the bottom of the table is the St. Louis Americans, also 1 win, but this time with just 3 losses. So all in all, you're still talking about a relatively closely packed division. Bearing in mind, again, 2 wins make that 2 points for each win. Kings 11 Dallas with 8 points, St. Louis Americans with 4. So very frankly, if you are somewhere around the Central Division and you're looking to see if you can make some inroads and certainly move up to the top of the table, just 4 points separate the team at the bottom from the team at the top. So it certainly means that you have a lot to play for. And at this point, you want to make sure that all of your bases are covered. You want to make sure that anything that you can do to sort of strengthen your game is taken care of. So I believe that our little situations have been sorted out. Bottom of your screen indicates that the scorecard is live and ready. And I think we're ready to go now. Umpire McVin Frederick says, let's play. And we're off and running. So pay attention here to Remandar. And his opening partner is going to be Surya Narayanan. He is going to open the batting along with Remandar. Single from the very first ball. So we're off and running. Looking at the pitch ahead of time, you can see probably right there on your screen the end of the pitch, both of them that are closer to the stumps, is relatively bare, but that maybe 18 yards or so in the center is very grassy. We'll see how that plays out the rest of the way. There's your lineup: Remandar, Surya Narayanan, Corey Anderson coming in at 3, Obus Pienaar 4, Ali Sheikh, Saib Malhotra, and the other all-rounders. And then you have the bowlers coming in next. So really interesting lineup, a power-pack lineup, even though you've lost Unmuk Chan for the day, who is actually the second leading batter in the side. Still a tremendously power-packed side, and a lot of work to do to stay up or to keep up with them. So slightly different challenge for Surya Narayanan, for Nosh Kenjige. He is a right-handed batter. So you would think that it would be more favorable to the bowling side for the attack to be to the righty. A couple good dot balls after the single to start. So an interesting matchup all the way around. The man with the gloves behind the stumps is Joshua Trump. Twin brother Matthew, thereabouts, somewhere maybe in the covers. And 3, make that 2 dots and then a single. In fact, that ball went straight to Matthew Trump. One of the better fielders that you'll see anywhere in the side. It's not uncommon to see him at slip with his twin brother behind the stumps. So you just essentially look to see where Matthew Trump is fielding if you want to decide what the hot corner is. Not surprising he's down at long on for Remandar. Remandar, of course, knowing that the urge will be there to go big, and so he'll be aware that Matthew Trump at long on will be waiting for him to take that first big shot. But a good over on the way here for Nosh Kenjige. Last ball coming up with just 2 runs scored already. Excellent over. Nosh Kenjige himself does the fielding. A brilliant first over in the books. 1 over up, 2 without loss. Two runs on the board. Captain Shubham Ranjane with the ball in hand from the highway end, the southern end of the ground here in Prairie View, to take the new ball, share the new ball with his spinner. Shubham Ranjane is a pace bowler. You'll see him, and you have seen him at the highest levels of cricket in this country. Tremendous all-round cricketer. And you've seen him at the major league level, now bowling here. First ball in the second over. Great delivery. Finds the outside edge. And that is the end of the day for the opening batter, Surya Narayanan. First delivery, lifting and takes the outside edge, not able to control it. The edge flies straight through to Joshua Trump, and the first wicket is down. Excellent ball. When we get the chance to see that replay again, you'll find that this ball is on a fourth stump line and maybe just curling away just a touch. Had the batter in two minds, not sure whether to come forward or go back. And that edge snapped up by Joshua Trump. He will not drop those. Excellent keeper, but that was a pretty regulation catch. Umpire Owen Brown raising the finger. Owen Brown along with McVin is those are the two umpires for the day. McVin Frederick, Owen Brown, there you see on that replay, beautiful delivery again, just curling away, kissing the outside edge, and the first wicket is down. So this becomes a situation where you've made early inroads. One thing that has been very evident in the schedule for the Kings 11 Dallas side is that they've always gotten off to good starts. Good starts because the two best batters in the team are the two openers, Raymond Dar and Unmuk Chand. Unmuk Chand not available today, and so rather than getting through the power play with a score of around 50 or so, gotten to the point now where a wicket has fallen on the seventh delivery in the innings. So that puts the Kings 11 Dallas in a bit of a different mindset. Whereas the batters coming in at 3, 4, and 5 have been able to play relatively carefree cricket, they're going to have to come in with a slightly different mindset. So that man in your screen right now, Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson will have played in matches that had pressure situations hundreds of times. So he'll not be in any way intimidated by this. And the evidence for that is that the very first ball that he sees flicks it to backward square leg for 6. Didn't realize that that carried all the way, but not surprising that Corey Anderson hits 6s. He does so with aplomb. No issues whatsoever for Corey Anderson. Actually, statistically, the fourth leading batter in the side. Go through his figures in a minute, but you see the line on that ball was a little bit too straight for Shubham Ranjane. And if you bowl at Corey Anderson's pads, you do that at your peril. That ball has to be on the line of off stump. Oh, he knocked him over. Second delivery. Well, this one is on the stumps, and Corey Anderson goes for the big drive. Clean bowled by Shubham Ranjane. 2 wickets in the first 3 balls of over number 2. Kings 11, Dallas is 8 for 2. Oh, take a look at this. What a beautiful delivery. Look at that ball. That is a right-handed pace bowler's dream to a left-handed batter. In swinger. That probably started on off stump, swung in and took out middle and leg. That is a brilliant ball. And I would look at that probably 3 or 4 more times, because that, as a pace bowler, bowling to a right-handed batter, make that a left-handed batter, is exactly the type of ball that you want. So 2 deliveries into, make that 3 deliveries into over number 2. 2 wickets are down, 8 runs on the board. Obus Pienaar is the new batter. And if in the past, and I said earlier, the games that you've played so far, Kings 11 Dallas, the batters at 3, 4, 5, and 6 have been able to come in and play relatively carefree because of the fast starts or the solid foundation laid by the openers. Well, that strategy has been blown to pieces here with Shubham Ranjane taking 2 top-order wickets, 2 huge wickets. First, you have the opening batter, Surya Narayanan. He's knocked over. In fact, he's nicked off. And then the very second delivery, bowled to Corey Anderson, takes out middle and leg. And boy, if we get the chance to see that replay again, that is a dream delivery in to the left-hander. So now you have the lefty and a righty on strike again. This is going to be Obus Pienaar. He will be tested here. Shubham Ranjane is on a heater. Good delivery. Goes past the outside edge. Absolutely brilliant stuff here. Shubham Ranjane conceded the 6. You don't ever want to concede a 6. But you will exchange a 6 for a wicket every time, particularly if the wicket is that of Corey Anderson, the USA player and the former New Zealand player. Here, look at the replay again. Look at this delivery, curling in. That ball started out going toward off stump and curls in beautifully to take up middle and leg. Absolutely brilliant delivery. Look at that extra bounce. Shubham Ranjane is making that ball talk. The second delivery he bowled, as we see this replay again, oh, absolutely stunning. And maybe the graphics covered the bottom of the screen that time, so we weren't able to see the actual swing on the ball. But take my word for it, that type of delivery is what you want to bowl to a left-handed batter with the new ball. In swinger from over the wicket, and absolutely brilliant. What an over. 5 dot balls, 2 of which were wickets, and the captain, Shubham Ranjane, has his team well and truly on top. After 2, the score is 8 for 2. Well, difficult times here for the Kings 11 Dallas. The MetroPlex traces are all over them. 8 for 2 after 2. And Nush Kenjige bowled the first over and immediately takes a break, as this is going to be Matthew Trump bowling over number 3. Goes for the big cut. Extra bounce in that delivery. Look where that ball is taken in terms of the height at which Joshua Trump took that delivery from his twin brother. It's going to be wide and signal is wide, but watch the lift. That ball came off of the pitch with some energy. And Matthew Trump, good up-and-coming medium pacer and lower order or middle order batter. And that delivery there that you saw from him, the first one, tells you that there's a little bit in the pitch, and he'll be looking to exploit that. Matthew Trump bowling. Look at this again. Boy, it would be very tricky delivery. Certainly swinging as it left or as it was collected by Joshua Trump. Question to be asked was, what was that within the guidelines when it passed the batter? Umpire McVin thinking that it is, in fact, or was outside the line. So we are up for a tricky period here if you're the Kings 11 Dallas. Keep making the point that the opening batters have set a really good table as you've gone through the season so far. And so this, as of right now, for the Kings 11 Dallas side is unfamiliar territory. Remandar has been there from the very beginning, 1 from 5. And I think that you'll find that he might find the need, or at least the urgency, to steady the ship. Just on that point, we talked about what the MetroPlex tracers make that the Kings 11 Dallas side has done so far. I think you've seen a really good effort from Kings 11 Dallas. In their very first match, first wicket partnership was 64. Second match, first wicket partnership 45. finish going through those in just a minute because I think it emphasizes the point. Couple of runs here. Throw coming into the non-striker's end. The third match was abandoned, as was the fourth. The fifth match against these same MetroPlex Tracers. Opening partnership was 134. And then against the Lone Star Athletics last Sunday, opening partnership was 91. So a quick estimate of the average opening partnership would be around 75 or 80. So if your opening partnership averages around 75 or 80 and you get knocked over with 2 wickets in the second over, that becomes something very difficult to sort of negotiate. So we'll see exactly how they go here. Quick look at the 2 wickets that have fallen. First, the edge taken, and then that is a dream ball. Absolutely stunning delivery, curling in, taking middle and leg from a ball that was destined to be an off stump. And even the batter of Corey Anderson's capabilities could not have kept that one out. Yet another wide here from Matthew Trump. So just a few loose deliveries. And so now this pair has the opportunity, I think, to be a little bit more, let's just say, judicious with their stroke play. Obus Pienaar coming in, a leading batter in the side, but not the freedom that he's come in with so far in the season. Not quite able to do it just yet. Has to be a little bit more careful. Outside edge takes this one down to deep third. Deep third, single closes things out. In fact, that's a leg by. So that's the end of over number 2. Make that over number 3. Score is 15 for 2. So 3 overs in the books. Kings 11 Dallas in unfamiliar territory, struggling at the top of the lineup. 15 for 2. As I said, my quick estimate of the average opening partnership for the Kings 11 Dallas so far has been around 75 or 80 runs. And that has been blown apart by the fast start by the man with the ball in hand, now about to bowl his second over, the captain, Shubham Ranjane. Excellent first over, and now bowling to Remandar. Bang on target. Similar delivery to the one that dismissed Corey Anderson. Remandar playing it watchfully with a straight bat. 2 from now 9, make that 2 from 8, Remandar. Obus Pienaar 3 from 5. And yes, this team bats well and they bat deep, the Kings 11 Dallas, but you're in unfamiliar territory if you're not necessarily able to play as freely as you have been all year. Skied, this is over the head of mid-on and running back toward the boundary. Not able to pull it back is Arshil Rajendra, and the first boundary of the day to Remandar. So the ball was full. You want to be full with the new ball. You want it to swing. Looking at this replay again, similar delivery. This one swinging in, but still at a length that allowed Remandar to go straight down the ground. So you don't mind that, honestly, if you are the bowler, because the ball is swinging. It's a similar delivery to the one that dismissed Corey Anderson. You want it to be on the fuller side. Cut away beautifully. This one is a little bit wide, down to deep third. A couple more runs here for Remandar. Maybe it's Remandar who might need to start feeling the pressure to pull his side out of a difficult situation. We'll see whether or not he can do that. Fielding in the deep that time, Akhilesh Nanda Sudhakar. You saw him on this very field 3 weekends ago for the Houston Youth Premier League. So didn't make the point earlier, but the MetroPlex Tracers are a really young side. despite the fact that Nosh Kenjige in his middle 30s, Shubham Ranjane probably close to 30, but the rest of the side is just a bunch of youngsters. And the Trump brothers, for example, you see both of them behind the stumps, one at first slip, the other keeping, are both 19 years old. Ansh Boje is a U19 player. Watch out for Ansh Boje, as I have been noting for myself and then have been reminded by an anonymous text that just came into me. And a really good young side. Slower delivery, played into the offside, no run. And so I'll tell you that you like seeing the youngsters excel. And once the youngsters are doing well, then that augurs well for cricket in this country. But they're up against a really tough side here, and it is in the early days, it's the MetroPlex Tracers who are actually on top in this game. A long way to go, obviously, but 21 runs on the board, 2 wickets down. That's a good place to be in at this stage of the innings. Excellent diving stop. You see the athleticism in the field, and that's not going to be something that you're in any way intimidated by. I believe that is the end of the over. At the end of over number 4, the score is 22 for 2. $22 for 2. And so the only bowler who has bowled 2 consecutive overs, meaning 2 from the same end, has been the captain, Shubham Ranjane, because this bowler about to bowl over number 5 is the 4th bowler to be used so far. That is Akhtar Shah. Right arm quick. Akhtar Shah will be bowling here to Remandar. Remandar showing signs in that last over of wanting to cut loose. 9 from 13. Obus Pienaar 3 from 5. Partnership worth 14. Hammered away. That's going to run close to the boundary, and it will be pulled back just before it gets to the rope. Arshil Rajendra, the man who kept or limited the damage to 2 runs, but Akhtar Shah will want to be much straighter than that, offering a lot of width to Remandar, who is only too happy to cash in on those. Look where this ball is, very wide. In fact, that might just have been signaled as wide had he not played that, Remandar. So Akhtar Shah wanting to be more on the stumps. And you're inside the power play. Still 11 deliveries remaining inside the power play. Let's see how well he does with the adjustment that needs to be made. Well, he even goes wider on that one. That's not exactly where you want to be in the situation where you have a team under pressure. 24 runs on the board before that wide. So just wanting to make sure that you maintain the pressure, and you've released a little bit of that pressure first with the wide delivery that was cut away for 2, and then the ball that was actually adjudged wide. So there on your screen you see Akhtar Shah remarking his run up. From his perspective, you would think that he's looking to just get that ball in the right areas. He's the 4th leading bowler in the side, Akhtar Shah. Go through his figures after this delivery. That's much better. That's where you want to be. Drawing the batter forward, punching that into the extra cover area for a single. Akhtar Shah, in 4 matches, has taken 4 wickets, conceded 120 runs, so his average is 30. He can bring that average down some, but his overall economy rate of 8.57 is, I think, the number that he'd really want to work on. A strike bowler, Bowls with good pace, but an economy rate of 8.57 to me says that he could potentially work on bringing that down some. It's a little bit expensive for a premier bowler, but he's the fourth best bowler in the side. That delivery that you just saw to Obus Pienaar is one that he needs to repeat over and over again in the spell. So you've seen the single to Remandar, and then that delivery for me is one of the better ones that he's bowled. Obus Pienaar is a tall man, around 6'3", 6'4". He was up on his toes defending that one, so it's a relatively defensive length. I wouldn't mind seeing him bring it just a little bit fuller to try to draw Obus Pienaar forward. Only faced 6 deliveries so far, Obus Pienaar. Down the leg side, and signaled as wide by umpire McVin Frederick. So maybe just having trouble finding the right line here, Akhtar Shah. And so what I was saying, the ball does not stay new forever, obviously. The brand new ball starts losing its sheen. Look at this delivery again, swinging down the leg side, really not close to anything. I'm not exactly sure why Akhtar Shah is appealing on that. But a couple of wides already in this over, so still 3 legal deliveries to go. Driven into the offside, run out opportunity. Oh, a better throw there might have been interesting. And I say better throw, that's a little harsh to Aryan Tamala. He was moving to his left, he's a right-hander, so it's difficult to sort of arrange yourself in such a way that you could get a good shot at the stumps. But they do pick up a single. You want to make sure that at this stage of the innings, when you've lost a couple of wickets, you start looking for ways to manufacture runs. And as of right now, I think this pair is doing it the way that you want to do it. Conceded a lot of dot balls so far. 16 dots in the deliveries that have been bowled so far. That's 57% of all deliveries. That is yet another wide though. So now you're conceding a lot of extras. 6 extras in all, 5 of which have been wides. And so with 2 balls still remaining, Akhtar Shah just needing to find the right line. And of course, needing to find the right line is not made any easier with the left-hander and right-hander at the crease at the same time. So every single forces you to change, or every odd-numbered number of runs forces you to change your line. Flicked away down the leg side. That's again a line that he'd want to be more toward the stumps, and he pays for it here with a boundary. Remandar is not somebody who you want to miss your line to. Well too straight. Look at this. Oh, going away down the leg side. Any batter will want to cash in on those, particularly a batter who, number 1, is the leading batter in the side, and number 2 is maybe tasked with the responsibility of pulling his team out of trouble. So 1 ball remaining here, 11 runs already from the over, and the most productive over by far for the Kings 11 Dallas side so far. Last ball, over number 5. Remandar just starting to warm up a little bit now. A run a ball 16 from him. Obus Pienaar at the other end, of 4 from 7. Last ball, over number 5. Oh, that ball had some zip on it. He may consider himself lucky there, Akhtar Shah, because any amount of bat on that takes it down to deep third. As it is, it's a dot that closes things out in over number 5. 1/4 of the way through the innings, the score is 33 for 2. So 5 overs in the books, 33 for 2. That projects to a score of 132. To me, this looks like a 160 pitch at minimum. So you would think that with Matthew Trump with the ball in hand, now bowling from the highway end, that the MetroPlex Tracers will want to continue applying the pressure. Whipped away into the deep. Darshan Haribabu down at deep square leg is the man who feels that one. This is the last over the power play. So Obus Pienaar doing what you need to do here, not taking any risks. And I would like to think that the maturity of both these players, Remandar has been around forever, still a young man, but Obus Pienaar, the more experienced, both of them will know that your job is just to not take any risks. Pick the singles up when they present themselves. If you get a bad ball, put the bad ball away. But as of now, the job is just to essentially not take any chances. Full driven into the cover. Zakilesh Nanda Sudhakar is the man in that area. I mentioned Darshan Haribabu a second ago. Darshan Haribabu, yet another of the young brigade of players from the MetroPlex Tracers. And he also featured right here on this field in the Houston Youth Premier League in about 3 weekends ago. So you'll see him and all the other youngsters who are right now, to me, punching above their weight. The Dallas, or Kings 11 Dallas, just on paper, is probably, you could make the argument that they're the strongest side in the league. Unmuk Chan not available today, and then 2 of their luminaries are playing currently in the Caribbean Premier League. That is Ali Khan as well as Andreas Gauss. Both of those players will join this team after you've had the CPL. Down the track, hammering this over the top of mid-off. Good effort in the deep. They'll get 2, but that effort is what you want to see from your fielders. So Remandar wanting to upset the apple cart a little bit, advancing down the track and going over the top. Maybe he wants to start shifting through the gears. Take a look at this shot again. Down the track and going over the top of and to the right of the fielder at mid-off. Running back and picking up a couple of runs. And so maybe runs are not necessarily flowing very quickly just yet, but that little piece of action for me says that Remandar is about to change that. Looks to run this behind square on the offside. You'll understand why he tried to play that shot, because Darshan Haribabu is inside the circle at short third and nobody in the deep in that direction. So essentially you're looking to see whether or not you can get the ball just fine enough to be by Darshan Haribabu and enough wood on it, of course, to get past the keeper. Not able to pull the shot off, but that certainly would have been his thinking. 2 balls remaining in the power play. Skied, this is catchable. And taken. Simple catch to Geeth Bolisetti on the boundary. And how big a wicket is that one? Because that is the leading batter in the side. Remandar holds out in the deep. You saw signs of him wanting to go big. And unfortunately, wanting to excel through that area. And that catch, simple catch taken. Thick top edge, the ball climbing in the air. There you see a bit of width. He might have been lucky to get away with that, because with that much width, Geeth Bolisetti might be feeling lucky that that ended up in his hands. That easily could have gone away either behind square or in front of square, but he picks out the man at the square boundary, Geeth Bolisetti, and that is a body blow. Another big body blow. Remandar, the leading batter inside, has been dismissed. 1 ball remaining inside the power play, but 3 wickets already taken. And this is unfamiliar territory for Kings 11 Dallas. They're 36 for 3. Well, the last ball coming up in over number 6, but it is of little doubt that the team that has had the best of the proceedings so far is the MetroPlex Tracers, a team that, as I've said a number of times already, are punching well above their weight. There are a ton of young players, enthusiastic. If I had to estimate the average age on the side, well, Nush Kenjige tends to bring the average age up, but the average age is no more than, say, 24, 25. And in fact, probably much less than that. But these young men are giving a really good account of themselves. Ali Sheikh, the man in the middle of your screen with the bat in hand, coming in very different conditions from what he's accustomed to. Ali Sheikh usually coming in at number 6, make that number 5, coming in somewhere around the 13th or 14th over. Maybe a ton of runs on the board, 110, 120 runs on the board, and then able to throw his bat around to be carefree. Completely different scenario here. Around the wicket to Ali Sheikh. And it is too wide for the liking of umpire Owen Brown. So yet another wide. I'll tell you what, without the wides, take away the 6 wides that you've had, and they would have already, first of all, been out of the power play, and just 31 runs would have been on the board. So yes, they've been excellent. 3 top order wickets is a huge advantage. You just want to tighten up those loose deliveries, as Matthew Trump now bowling his last ball of over number 6. And unfortunately, he will have to re-bowl that one. So a couple of wides to Ali Sheikh. Has not yet needed to play a shot, Ali Sheikh. And of course, Ali Sheikh, who himself is also a very young man, but just wanting to make sure that he takes advantage of any gifts that he gets from the opposition. Nush Kenjige standing at first slip. Only one slip fielder in position. And you might have just seen him applauding there, just exhorting Matthew Trump to get this ball on the off-stump line. That's a great delivery. They'll get a single here. Absolutely brilliant ball. A little bit of extra bounce. Awkwardly fended down to deep third. What an absolutely brilliant power play for the MetroPlex Tracers. 39 for 3 after 6. Scoring rate, 6.5. Projected score based on that scoring rate is 130. And it's Nush Kenjige now out of the power play. Bowled over number 1. Coming back in now to bowl over number 7. Over number 1 only went for 2 runs. And it's only gotten better since that start for the MetroPlex Tracers. And Nush Kenjige bowling to the left-handed Ali Sheikh around the wicket. Slip fielder in position, that is captain Shubham Ranjane. Worked into the leg side, wanted a single, sent back by Obus Pienaar. So they're going to have to start over here. And somehow they're going to have to find a way to recreate some of the freedom that they had earlier in the season, the Kings 11 Dallas. And so exactly how you do that will probably depend a lot on Ali Sheikh, who is naturally very aggressive. Again, having to play now within himself, play with a little bit more responsibility because of the situation. He is a stroke player, comes in, again, usually when he comes in at number 5 or number 6, he's able to see the finish line with maybe 5 or so overs remaining and playing with a lot of freedom. Not the case here. And he's going to have to rein in that natural aggression. 2 deliveries into over number 7, just 40 runs on the board. So that tells you that this side is essentially struggling a little bit. Certainly don't look as carefree as they've looked through the early stages of the season. Of course, a relatively truncated season. You have this coming weekend, you have next weekend, the weekend after that, and that is the end of the season. Then you have the playoffs after that. Single here. So maybe we'll go through the schedule in a little bit, but things are heating up. There's no question that things are heating up here in the Central Division. As I said earlier, only at the start of the day's play, just 2 points separating the top team from the bottom team. And for context, only the top 2 teams from each division make the playoffs. So the playoffs start in, I assume, Grand Prairie on the week of October 1st. Which 2 teams from the Central Division will represent that division is anyone's guess at this point. And it's a couple of good deliveries to end over number 7 here for Noshkenjige. His 2 overs have only cost 4 runs so far. Brilliant bowling from the veteran left arm orthodox bowler. Kings 11 Dallas, 41 for 3. This is an interesting matchup for me. Aryan Tamala is the man with the ball in hand to be bowling from the southern end of the ground, the highway end, with just a little bit of wind coming in. It's coming in from the south. So if Obus Pienaar hits this ball in the air, he'll be hitting it into the wind. Not a lot of wind, probably less than 10 miles an hour, so not a huge factor. But the right armer turning the ball into the right-handed Obus Pienaar could potentially invite a big hit on the leg side. You have long on in position along with long off. Matthew Trump is at cow corner or sort of mid-wicket. And then Achilles Nanda Sudhakar at square leg off the back foot toward Matthew Trump. So pay attention to that matchup. Aryan Tamala versus Obus Pienaar. In theory, that's going to be a really interesting matchup to watch because you get the sense that you're looking to incentivize a big shot from Obus Pienaar. Here, I think Aryan Tamala will prefer bowling to Ali Sheikh. As a right-handed off-spinner, he will be turning the ball away from the left-handed Ali Sheikh. That's why you have Shubham Ranjani at first slip right now, gesticulating there, top right of your screen. And Aryan Tamala, yet another who featured right here on this ground in the Houston Youth Premier League a few weekends ago. Tossed up, they wanted a single. Achilles Nanda Sudhakar in the area to deny them that chance. So, pay attention. Things are getting interesting. The scoring rate is falling. The scoring rate is down to 5.6. Pressure building, you would think, on Kings 11 Dallas. Ali Sheikh, right in elegant in defense, but every defensive shot that results in a dot ball, that makes the economy rate fall, meaning the scoring rate. And I don't know that they expect it to be here as of this stage. Paddled around the corner, should be 2 runs. Watch Ali Sheikh is, no, not 2 runs. What a great piece of fielding. That is Ansh Boje down at deep. Fine leg who was there to prevent that second run. 1 ball remaining in over number 8. Just 28 runs from the last 5 overs to include the ball about to come. So excellent bowling overall. Once again, I made the point. 7 wides. This could have been a lot worse. But as of right now, they're absolutely doing brilliantly. Kings 11 Dallas essentially are on the back foot, well and truly on the back foot. End of 8, scores 43 for 3. Continuing with the examination of spin, Arshil Rajendra into bowl over number 9. Alishik 3 from 8, Obus Pienaar 7 from 13. Into the gap at mid-wicket, and it goes away for 4. So Arshil Rajendra is their leg spinner, turning the ball into Alishik. Alishik will prefer the ball coming into him as opposed to turning away. Look at this replay. He drags this ball from well outside the line of off stump, probably a 6th stump line is where Alishik dragged that from. But the idea is to play with the turn. And I like the move that has just been made because Nush Kenjige is now into a short mid-wicket position to essentially dissuade the shot that you just saw. So starting out with a boundary. That's the first boundary in a really long time and only the 3rd boundary in the innings overall. With Obus Pienaar now on strike, you're going to want to essentially put yourself in a position where you try to cash in on the rest of this over. You've gotten off to a good start, so you've gotten the batter, make that the bowler on the back foot. But it's now going to be up to you to help cash that in. Obus Pienaar now driven down to long off. So things are moving along. For me, the interesting portion of this innings is right where we are at this moment, because with that single, that puts Alishik back on strike. The leg spinner will be turning the ball into him, but a much more defensive field with Nush Kenjige now at short mid-wicket. Short mid-wicket, really, it's more like a wide-ish mid-on, wide, short mid-on, but there are 4 fielders on the leg side. And Alishik, they're expecting him to play on the leg side, and the field reflects a need to keep him quiet. Skied. It's in the air forever. Will anybody get there? Yes. What a big wicket that one is. Alishik skying it, and that is the 2nd catch taken by Geeth Boliseti. The ball in the air for a really long time. Again, you're always expecting Alishik to play with the turn, with the ball turning into him, but maybe getting under this one a little bit too much, and it skies. It was in the air for an eternity, and Geeth Boliseti, look at him coming from the left of your screen from the boundary, and that was number 1. So beautifully judged. And number 2, knowing that he had a couple of fielders approaching, he'd have to have kept them in his eyesight at the same time. But the concentration evidence on that opportunity is an excellent one because he did what he needed to do. And Alishik has been dismissed. 49 on the board and 4 wickets down. This is absolutely not what you had in mind if you're the Kings 11 Dallas. The new batter making his way to the crease. You have not seen him yet this season. This is going to be Saqlain Haider. You've seen him in the past. Saqlain Haider played for the Houston Hurricanes in the past. And in fact, this MetroPlex Tracers team, essentially, the core of that team is the old Houston Hurricanes team. So in a sense, Saqlain Haider will be coming in to attempt to perform against his old side here. That is a big wicket, and maybe we'll have a chance to look at this again. Here we go. And looking at the delivery, I don't know that that was not a googly. It didn't turn a whole lot, but if there was any turn, it was actually away from Alishik. So that might have been what did him. The googly turning the ball away, and again, not a lot of turn. Look where this ball turns again. There. If anything, well, that was the one that was hit away for 4. But that next one is tossed up, and again, just a minimal amount of turn. But if there was turn, I believe it was away from Alishik. And so he can consider himself undone by the googly. Oh my goodness, the very first delivery is an outside edge. They'll get just 1, but almost had 2 and 2. No edge. There's a signal from umpire McVin. Frederick saying that was a bye. Look at this again. Oh, that's a leg break. How beautiful a delivery is that? That is what you're trying to bowl as a left or a leg break bowler to a left-hander. Outside the line of off stump, and it turned beautifully from a perfect length. Beat not just the batter but the keeper as well. Oh, absolute brilliant bowling so far. That is the end of a successful over. 7 runs coming from it. Remember, this over started with a 4 down the ground. So that becomes the start of a really interesting passage of play, because now the Kings 11 Dallas might have to start thinking that they're running out of opportunities to get some productivity from the middle order. End of over number 9. The score is 50 for 4. Take a quick look at the wickets. And that last one again is the one that we spent some time talking about the last over. There, just the top edge, I think induced by the googly. And that has put you in the position now where you're well and truly on the back foot. 4 top order wickets down. And this graphic or this replay here will tell us just a little bit of turn. And maybe the bounce also is what did Ali Sheikh. Any event, it ended up being a top edge, and now you are looking at a second over being bowled by Aryan Tamala. Over number 10 in the innings about to start. Saqlain Haider has faced 1 delivery, make that 2 deliveries, has not yet scored. He is a left-handed batter. He's a wicket keeper for the day. Saqlain Haider, one of his most famous shots is the reverse sweep and the switch hit. I don't know that this is a situation where you'd see either one of those two. Certainly at least not at this stage in the innings. Now the conventional sweep he plays very well. You see it there. And 3 deliveries into over number 10. Boy, you are struggling here if you're the Kings 11 Dallas. Scoring rate 5.37. 5.37 to me doesn't necessarily pump you full of confidence that you'll get a score in the 160, 170 range. We'll go through some projections here in a minute. That is just past outside edge. And I believe that the scorecard may be incorrect. We'll take a look at that in just a second. Off the back foot, straight to short cover. Should be 1 ball remaining. In fact, the scorecard says that it's the end of the over, but there is 1 ball remaining. So just 1 run scored from the over already. This should be the last ball of over number 10. Oh, that did not go anywhere near where Obus Pienaar was looking to play it. Another excellent over for the MetroPlex Tracers. Just 1 run coming from it. I believe that we will have the water break now. The Kings 11 Dallas are absolutely struggling. 51 for 4. Taking a look at some highlights from the first 10 overs. First 10 overs for me easily won by the MetroPlex Tracers. 4 big top order wickets. And now Jacqueline Hayter and Obus Pienaar will be looking to, number 1, stem the flow of wickets. And then number 2, try to put something together that their bowlers can bowl at as you get into the second half of this innings. Again, this is a Central Division matchup between the Kings 11 Dallas, the MetroPlex Tracers. MetroPlex Tracers winning the toss, inserting the Kings 11 Dallas into bat, and they're all over them here. Couple of delivers here. Second one, or second over, being bowled by Arshil Rajendra. Gets that one away, down the hill. Running down, that's Akhilesh Nanda Sudhakar. Good strong throw, but excellent running by Obus Pienaar. Willing himself to come back for that second run. Might have just seen there where his partner, Jacqueline Hayter, applauding his efforts. So you've gotten yourself into a tricky position here, but this pair at the wicket is very experienced. Obus Pienaar in particular, I'm looking to see whether or not he can take charge the rest of the way. That is a big hit. Oh, where does that end up? That is well and truly out of not just the playing area, but that's into the bushes. Probably, for me, a 95-yard hit. Look at this. Oh, what an absolutely brilliant strike by Obus Pienaar. So if you wanted to estimate the length of that stroke, it is 81 yards from the bat, or from the stumps at the striker's end, to the straight boundary. That ball easily lands 20 yards beyond that. So that's over 100 yards. There's no question. A huge strike. I just started saying that I expected to see Obus Pienaar be one that sort of takes charge. This situation for me says that he's more than capable of doing just that. So the bowlers were on top for a really long time. Does that stroke right there from Obus Pienaar mean that he's now ready to take his team back into the position that they expected to be in when they started the day's play? Struck into the offside. Better delivery, just a little bit wide, wanting to stay away from Obus Pienaar's hitting zone. He's a very tall man, Obus Pienaar, so his reach is significant. But that last one, the one that went for 6, was not the type of delivery that you would think he'd need to go very far for. Look where he plays that from. Essentially, that ball was in the slot. And with a ball at that length, you don't need to be in any trouble to recognize that that's a ball you can score off of. And even if you are in some trouble, you can always cash in on delivers like that. That is the last ball of over number 11. A much better one than you've seen in a while for Kings 11 Dallas. The score after 11 is 62 for 4. Few highlights again. Look at this delivery here. Very similar to the one that bowled Corey Anderson. These are all the 4s that you've had for the day. That one dragged from Ali Sheikh outside the line of off stump. And there is the last one that you just saw, that huge 6. First, make that the second 6 of the innings. Obus Pienaar, I think, is warming to the task. And in the last week's action in Grand Prairie, I said that I saw Obus Pienaar more as a 50-over player than a T20 player. And in no way did I mean that pejoratively. He has the mentality that will allow him to bat long if he needs to. Oh my goodness, Given on the sweep. Sometimes the best shot that you play can be your downfall. Looking to sweep that one, Jacqueline Hayter. And umpire Owen Brown taking a look and then raising the finger, the slow finger of death. Jacqueline Hayter is dismissed from the very first ball of over number 12. Look at this again. Tossed up. And he's looking to sweep. There's a turn. And boy, this is hitting in line with off stump. Maybe the only question to be asked is it bouncing over the top? Nush Kenjiga didn't think that it was bouncing over the top. Neither did Joshua Trump. And finally, Owen Brown agreeing. Now, Saklen Hader is protesting and saying that that ball hit his shoulder. And he's absolutely right. The ball hit his shoulder. But if you're down in a sweeping position, you can still be hit in the shoulder and still be out leg before wicket. So he's very, very low. He's going down for the sweep. And yes, you certainly want to ask the question for yourself, was that in line or was that going to be bouncing over the top? But look where this ball hits him. Look how low he gets. There. He's all the way down. And there, if you freeze it there, the ball is in line with the top of his pad. So the ball being hit on the shoulder is not in any way a defense to being given out LBW. I think that that's a good decision. About the only question to be asked is it bouncing over the top? But you are absolutely... Impact is going to be, you're going to want to see whether or not the impact was outside the line of off stump too. So maybe we'll have a look at that a little bit later on. But I don't think that there is any defense to leg before wicket by saying that ball hit me on the shoulder. So we may have a chance to look at that a second time, but a lot of work has gone into where you are right now. Take a look at this again. Nush Kenjige tossed up. Going for the sweep. Oh, this is very close. I would think this is maybe just in line with off stump. So for it to be given out LBW, if the batter is playing a shot and the impact is outside the line of off stump, by definition, that would not have been out. So it's a pretty central part of the equation for the umpires as to whether or not the impact was in line with the stumps. If it's in line with off stump, then it can be given out. If it's outside the line of off stump, then it would be not out. And so these are all the things that umpire Owen Brown would have had to consider before giving that decision. But Saeed Malhotra, the new batter, works this into the leg side. Boy, a lot has gone into the last several minutes worth of action. Not really able to build any real partnerships of note so far. And as of right now, you've gotten yourself into a position where you've lost half of the side. Outside edge, great piece, attempted piece of fielding. They'll get a single. But you've gotten yourself into a tricky position. Because as of right now, the biggest partnership was the third wicket partnership worth 28. First wicket partnership was worth 2. Second wicket partnership worth 6. The fourth and the fifth wicket partnerships were worth 13 each. And so now you're going to be struggling to get something going because now you're having to do it with the bottom order. And Obus Pienaar obviously still there, 18 from 23. Saeed Malhotra. And every time I commentate when Saeed Malhotra is batting, I remind everyone who's listening that his brother Jaskaran Malhotra, one of a handful of people who have hit 6 sixes in an over in an international match, did that for the U.S. a number of years ago, I believe, against Papua New Guinea. He would not mind channeling the spirit of his, not the spirit, Jaskaran is alive and well. But we'll take a look at this again. All right, let's take a look at where this, look at this. 2 slips on the outside. Look at this ball turn. Look at the turn. Drifting in from outside the line of off stump. Boy, look at the turn on that delivery. That's why you had 2 slips in position, because that ball turned a good 10 degrees. And Nush Kenjige, who typically relies more on drift and guile and line and length more than he does turn, got that one to turn tremendously. So they're all over the Kings 11 Dallas here, MetroPlex Tracers, 64 for 5 after 12. Well, Nush Kenjige's 3 overs have cost all of 6 runs. And captain Shubham Ranjane back into the attack. So Nush Kenjige, let me say that again. Remember, he's a left-arm orthodox spinner. He opened the bowling inside the power play. He's bowled 3 overs. They have scored all of 6 runs off of him. This is tremendous bowling. First by Nush Kenjige, and by extension, the rest of the Metroplex Tracers. And the Dallas, or Kings 11 Dallas, is in all heaps of trouble here. Looking to see whether this pair of Saeed Malhotra and Obus Pienaar can make something out of the remaining deliveries in this innings. Deliveries meaning after that single, you have the last 46 balls left in the innings, 65 runs on the board. If you score from this stage at the rate of 6 and over, run a ball from here only gets you to 111. 8 and over from here gets you to 126. 9 and over gets you to 134. And bearing in mind, you're batting with the bottom order. Advancing down the track, though, Obus Pienaar is still there. And Obus Pienaar is here to remind everyone that he's still in the middle. He still has a bat in his hand. Fielded in the deep that time. Gurneek Singh Johal. Boy, you have a tricky situation here. 3 deliveries into the first over. Into the 13th over, rather. Played off the back foot. Should just be a couple. Not going to go all the way to the ropes. So doing it in singles and doubles at this stage with 2 balls remaining in over number 13. But boy, I will tell you that things are going to get more and more difficult for you here. Bowling options the rest of the way. Nush Kenjige has been brilliant. He only has 1 over left though. And Shubham Ranjane, the captain, is bowling in his 3rd over. So he'll only have 1 more after this. Maybe he saves himself for the back end. Matthew Trump still with 2 overs remaining. Akhtar Shah bowled 1 over. He was a little wayward. He might want to get another one. You'd think that he would be able to correct the errors from that 1 over. And then Aryan Tamala and Arshil Rajendra each with 2 overs remaining. 7 overs left. You'd have to think that Matthew Trump would be bowled out and Nush Kenjige and Shubham Ranjane would also be bowled out. So that leaves you 3. And 3 to be chosen from Akhtar Shah, Aryan Tamala, and Arshil Rajendra. Great piece of fielding at short extra cover. That is Arshil Rajendra, who I just mentioned. He's there for that fielding opportunity. End of over number 13. 6 coming from the over. Last 7 coming up. The score is 70 for 5. $70 for 5. It's going to be Arshil Rajendra to continue. It's about to bowl over number 14. Bowling here to Saeed Malhotra. Saeed Malhotra is a leg spinner, so he will be familiar with the deliveries coming from Arshil Rajendra. 1 for 17 from his 2.1 overs so far. That's a misfield. He'll get a single from the second ball of over number 14. Arshil Rajendra really, for me, joining in the party for the rest of the ones that the rest of the bowlers have set, particularly set from the front by Noshkenjige. Shubham Ranjan has been brilliant. 2 wickets in that second over. Obus Pienaar. Does it all depend on him now? Obus Pienaar now moving into the 20s. In fact, he's already been in the 20s. That single takes him to 21 from 27. And then if you're Obus Pienaar, you have a calculus that you need to establish. Exactly at what stage do you get to hitting mode? He can hit. He can go big. You saw that 6 off his bat earlier, so he's brilliant in that way. But do you get yourself in the position where you're looking to manufacture runs as opposed to sticking around and making sure that you don't lose any more wickets? And it is a calculus that he'll have to make eventually. As of right now, both he and Syed Malhotra are content to just pick the singles up, which is also not a bad strategy. 1 ball remaining in over number 14. But if you're looking to get to somewhere around 130, 9 runs and over from now takes you to 129. And so at some point, yes, you have a good bowling side, you have excellent fielders, but you want to start thinking that you want to make the opposition batters feel challenged. Reverse sweep is what he looks for here, Obus Pienaar. That might have been the answer to the question of what point does he look to start going big. Wide down the leg side though, so he'll have to re-bowl this. That is wide number 8 for the day. Short hammered into the covers. That is Aryan Tamala. That's a good piece of fielding. I think he saves a couple of runs there. 1 run that ends over number 14. Last 6 coming up. 75 for 5. Noshkenjige is going to be bowled out here. He has been brilliant. In almost no form of cricket will you ever see a bowler who opened the bowling and 3 overs into his spell, he's only conceded 6 runs. So that gives you a sense of the excellence with which he's been operating here in Noshkenjige. And now switching ends to now bowl from the forest end, the northern end of the ground. Over number 15 is about to start. Bowling to Obus Pienaar. Paddled around the corner, short fine leg, run out opportunity, very high throw. They'll eventually get there relatively easily, but saw signs from Obus Pienaar from that last delivery of over, or the last penultimate delivery of over number 14, where he tried to break out the reverse sweep, that he might be thinking about how to accelerate, because you're scoring right now at the rate of 5.36. That won't trouble most batters chasing on a good surface with a relatively fast outfield. Syed Malhotra is taking some time. 7 from 11. Make that. So scorecard, I believe, is inaccurate. Syed Malhotra is the one on strike. Obus Pienaar is the non-striker's end. Played into the offside. Couple of dots. So we'll wait to see whether or not the scorecard can catch up with the action. 3 straight dots after a single. Last 2 balls coming up here in over number 15. And I believe that they're now making the correction. So you'll find going into the back end of this over, play it off the outside edge, potential run out opportunity averted. Just one run from the over in Nush Kenjige's final over. He's conceded 7 runs in 3.5 overs. Stunning stuff from Nush Kenjige. Last ball. 8 runs coming from his entire spell. Absolutely brilliant stuff for Nush Kenjige. And the veteran left arm orthodox shows his class yet again. End of over number 15, last 5 coming up. The score is 77 for 5. Arshil Rajendra to continue. This is his last over. Over number 16 about to be bowled. After this, you're down to the last 4. Played away, square the wicket. Arshil Rajendra. 23 runs conceded from his 3.1 overs. So not quite as frugal as you saw with Nush Kenjige, but still, you get your leg spinner to give you 3.1 overs and only concede 23 runs. That is an excellent thing for your side. Goes to the big hit. Long run, mid off and or long off and long on in the area. Cannot get to it. And it goes all the way for 6. So Arshil Rajendra conceding a 6 here. Look at this delivery. Tossed up. And Obus Pienaar going straight down the ground. Again, he has a great reach, very long arms, and a ball that's out of reach for driving length for most batters is one that he can actually get to. Plays this away on the offside, or tries to play it away on the offside. So watch now for the way that the rest of the innings is composed by Obus Pienaar. 84 for 5. Obus Pienaar is on 29 from 31. So going almost at a run of ball. Short, hammered. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Did he take that catch? Stunning stuff from Arshil Rajendra. Oh my, that is for me the biggest body blow of the entire innings, because that is Obus Pienaar, who was looking really dangerous, hammered right back at him, a reflex catch, and he bobbles it a number of times. Look at this. He bobbles it like 5 times, but eventually holds on. That is the end of Obus Pienaar. He might feel hard done by because he hit that very well. Spanked it, in fact, but struck it right back at the bowler, who had some difficulty holding on to it, but eventually it sticks. And that is wicket number 6. Wicket 6 is down, and you're into the bowlers. Arshil Rajendra has 2 balls remaining in his spell, but he's taken 2 wickets. And I will tell you that things are now more and more difficult for Kings 11 Dallas. You're into the bowlers. Arshil Rajendra with the wicket. The new batter is going to be Amshi De Silva. Amshi De Silva joining Saib Malhotra, who is now the senior striker, make that the senior partner. Amshi De Silva, you've seen him with the ball. He's bowled throughout the entirety of the tournament. But boy, do you get yourself in the position of thinking now, if you're Saib Malhotra, do I need to start upping my strike rate? 9 from 17 will not intimidate most bowling sides. And it's now up to you, Mr. Malhotra, to channel your brother Jaskaran and get something going in the 4s and 6s column. Just 3 4s and 3 6s struck in the innings so far. 84 on the board, 6 wickets down. And now you're getting to nerve-wracking time if you're Kings 11 Dallas. 2 balls remaining. Arshil Rajendra in the air, and it goes for 6. Well, that's one way to do it. The very first delivery, spanked away into the deep, and 6 runs. The very first ball faced by Amshi De Silva, and for all the talking I just did about Saeed Malhotra, Amshade Silva is reminding me that he's also out there and he also has a bat in his hand. 6 to deep mid wicket. So last ball coming up here in over number 16. Let's see exactly how the last ball of his spell goes here. Arshil Rajendra. Oh, was in the air for a while. Fielded in the covers. 13 runs come from the over, but the big wicket of Obus Pienaar. End of over number 16. Last 4 coming up. 90 for 6. That replay again, hits the heel of his palm. He bobbles it 3 or 4 times and then eventually holds on. So, a big wicket there, even if you might have to ice his wrist later on. Matthew Trump coming in to bowl over number 17. So down to the last 4 overs here. 16 overs in the books. Only 90 runs on the board. And barring rain-interrupted matches, I think it's safe that this is the lowest score that Kings 11 Dallas have had all year. Here's Matthew Trump. So single to start over number 17. Where do you go for your runs? Saeed Malhotra, 9 from 17. Make that 10 from 18 after that single. Amshade Silva, who came in, smoked the first ball that he saw for 6. And now Matthew Trump looking to see whether or not he can keep him quiet. Sometimes if you bat at the bottom of the order, it is in some ways refreshing to know that not necessarily a lot is expected of you. The majority of the runs come from the top order. So that can sometimes allow you to bat with a certain amount of freedom. Not a whole lot of pressure because Amshade Silva coming into the tournament or coming into the innings would not have batted a whole lot. 1 run scored the entire season by Amshade Silva before that 6. And so you don't expect a lot from him. Anything he can get is a bonus. And in fact, he's now setting himself in such a way that he does not appear as though he's somebody who you're expecting to bat for a very long time. So 3 balls remaining here in over number 17. Maybe after the end of this over, we'll take a look at the wickets that have fallen because they have been essentially the story of this match so far. No partnership so far in this innings that has been higher than 22. Make that 28. The third wicket partnership went for 28, but the other partnerships so far have been 2, 6, 13, 13, 22, and then as of right now, the unbroken wicket, 7th wicket partnership is worth 7. So not a whole lot that you can be pumped full of confidence about if you're Kings 11 Dallas. How do you change that here if you're Amshade Silva? Goes for the big swing, yet another miss. So started off with a dot, and then 4 make that, started off with a single in this over, and then 7 make that 4 dot balls in over 17. The last ball coming up here, Matthew Trump bowling an excellent penultimate over. Penultimate meaning this is hit the second to last over for him. After this, he'll have 1 more over left. I should say after this ball, he'll have 1 more over left. And he's doing his part to help turn the screws. Sliced off the outside edge. Sweeper is there in the deep. They have 1. Come back for the second. He took off belatedly. I'll tell you what, a better throw would have had him by 2 yards. The throw came in from the outfield. I believe that was Geeth Bolisetti, who's had a couple of good catches today. This time he will want to have had that throw be a little bit closer to the stumps. And so Amshade Silva survives. Here we go. Let's take a look at the wickets. The first one, the outside edge taken. This is the ball of the match for me. In swinger to dismiss Corey Anderson. Then this one skied into the deep. That is a good catch taken Right there, you've seen another catch taken by Geith Bolisetti. And then here, for me, another big one. Ali Sheik was looking dangerous. Tossed up here, LBW shout. Umpire Owen Brown raising the finger there. And then tossing this one up and spanked right back to the bowler. Had some difficulty holding on to it, but eventually held on. So, 6 wickets down. Things are becoming more and more difficult if you're Kings 11 Dallas. 93 runs on the board. Aaron Tamala bowled 2 overs already. Bowled overs 8 and 10. First over that he bowled went for 2 runs. The second over he bowled went for 1 run. So brilliant bowling for the young man also. Going into now over number 18. Saeed Malhotra has been there for a while. How much depends on him at this stage? Very full. Yorker length played back to the bowler. No run. Well, this is good stuff for the Metroplex Tracers. Again, this is a very young side. In some ways, you can say they're playing with house money because they're playing up against a really strong, deep, talented side, but they're making them look really bad here. This is skied, catchable, and taken. Oh, what a big wicket that one is. Saeed Malhotra holding out in the deep, straightforward catch, straight down the lap of the sweeper on the boundary. That is wicket number 7 that goes 93 now for 7. Off the outside edge, look at this ball carry all the way down the 70 yards out there. So that probably goes 66, 67 yards. But he needed it to go about 72 for that one to count. Pretty straightforward catch taken there by Arshil Rajendra. And that is the end of Saeed Malhotra walking off with some degree of trepidation. And now coming into bat is going to be Sanchit Sandhu. And now you really are just into the bowlers. 93 for 7 is your score. 2 balls remaining here. Make that 4 balls remaining here in over number 18. Aaron Tamala with 4 balls remaining in his spell, but my goodness, 1 for 3, not in his spell, my apologies. 4 balls remaining in this over, his third. 1 for 3, and you might have thought ahead of time before he bowled, why would you bring an off spinner into bowl over number 18 to 2 right-handers? Well, the question is being answered right now. Stroked into the covers, the very first ball bowled to Sanchit Sandhu, off the mark. But you do have the bowlers, is all that's left. And of those bowlers, Amshad De Silva hit the first ball that he faced for 6, but not much else after that. Goes for the big swipe here, trying to repeat the dose, nothing doing. And this is really intelligent bowling here by Aaron Tamala. Just 2 balls remaining in over number 18. Last 14 balls remaining in the day, or in the innings rather. It may be the case that you're asking yourself, which happens first, 20 overs or 10 Kings 11 Dallas wickets? And you never thought for a second that you'd ever have to say that with this power-packed batting lineup. But they've been made to look ordinary here by disciplined bowling attack. Great delivery. Yorker length. Digs it out toward deep extra cover. Oh, they're hesitating, and that's going to be a run out. Oh, how tragic is that? That is the end of Sanchit Sandhu. I believe that, oh, my apologies, that's the end of Amshad De Silva. I can tell you that when you have this pair batting together who don't bat very often together, batting, first of all, this level of cricket is something that every single coach will be absolutely mortified to see. Not much communication between the two. They took the first one, not any sort of communication wanting to get that second one, and ends up with Amshi De Silva stranded halfway down. Well, maybe not halfway down, but he was well out of his crease. Didn't even try to regain his crease. 95 for 8 is where you are right now. This is tragic for the Kings 11 Dallas. And once again, bearing in mind, the Kings 11 Dallas are the #1 side in the division. You're at the top of the division. You sort of have to take advantage of the opportunity to, let's say, establish your dominance to a team that at least on paper you're stronger than. But if you didn't know anything about which of these teams was Kings 11 Dallas and which is the MetroPlex Tracers, you would be forgiven if you were thinking that the Tracers were the ones batting and Kings 11 Dallas was in the field, because as of right now, at least at this stage in the innings, it's been all the MetroPlex Tracers. Played into the offside. Oh, yes, no, again. I'll tell you what, had that throw gone toward the non-striker's end, that could have been another run out. 3 runs coming from the over and the wicket. Let's take a look at this again. Played into the offside. Yes, no, yes, no. And they finally get there in the end. 3 runs coming from over number 18. Last 2 coming up. 96 for 8. A few of those highlights from this most recently completed over. Excellent over by Aaron Tamala. Look at that. Boy, if looks could kill. Amshi De Silva absolutely furious with his partner. But really the communication between the two, and the point I just started making, was that it's not often that this pair would have been batting together. First of all, with such a heavy batting lineup, the bowlers typically don't get the chance to bat very often anyway. And then if you do bat as a bowler, you're typically batting with a more established batter. But that was not the case here. The batters, as you look at the points table, bear in mind, again, Kings 11 Dallas, the #1 side. And look where the MetroPlex Tracers are, down at number 4. Matthew Trump coming back now for his last over. Down the leg side, catching opportunity, or is it? No, not a catching opportunity. And in the meantime, we will see that I believe that might have just flicked something on the way through. Maybe the pad. Here, see, that gives us a good look. That's a great piece of camera work that took the front of the thigh pad, or the batting pad. So Matthew Trump will probably want that ball to be more on the line of off stump, but luckily for him, it did not go way down. In fact, it made contact with the pad, so not given as a wide. This is last over. Matthew Trump bowling over number 19. Conceded 15 runs in his 3 overs and 1 ball so far. It's going to be a single. Nush Kenjige, look at that piece of fielding. Oh, just to remind you that he's around. He is an excellent fielder in that position at backward point. He has made that position his own at the national level for a long time. Look at this. Look at the clean pickup and look at the throw. Look, I tell you what, this is, ladies and gentlemen, that is out. That is actually out. That's a direct hit, and the bat was either in the air or on the line. So I'll tell you what, Nush Kenjige very well could have been the author of another wicket there. I'd want to take another look at that. This is played into the outfield. They look for another run. They'll get there because not a clean pickup in the deep at deep third. There's Aaron Tamala down there. But take a look at this again. Take a look at the bottom of your screen. The pickup. Here's the throw. That is gone. Oh, my goodness. Brilliant stuff from Nush Kenjige. The bat is in the air. Absolutely brilliant from Nush Kenjige. Umpire McVin Frederick not seeing it that way, but I think it's clear that the video tells the story there. That is brilliant. There's the man we're talking about, Nush Kenjige. Oh, 99 runs on the board. You are down to the last 10 balls of this innings. And how great is that camera work to see that replay a number of times, because looking at it live, I thought he made his ground, the non-striker did. But I'll tell you that's brilliant from that backward point air, Nush Kenjige with a brilliant piece of fielding. Oh, going through a big drive and a miss. By the way, we didn't mention it. It's going to be Mr. Sodi, 2 from 3. Sanchit Sandhu, 3 from 4. And I don't know that we'll see much more activity with the bat the rest of the way. At this point, the objective may just be to bat out the remaining overs. Last ball, over number 19. Wrapped on the pad. I believe this will be a leg by. There's a signal by umpire McVin Frederick. End of over number 19. A brilliant spell from Matthew Trump. 4 overs, 1 for 19. And that leg by the way, bringing up the 100. 100 for 8 with the last over coming up. Aryan Tamala will complete his spell. And how often again do you see an off-spinner bowling this late into the innings, the 2 right-handed batters? So Eshwar Sodi is the batter on strike. Starting with the dot here, Aryan Tamala. Back to the bowler himself, couple of dots. This is such brilliant bowling by this young MetroPlex Tracer side. Every bowler has answered the call, maybe with the exception of Akhtar Shah, but all the other bowlers. Look at that run rate, 5.26. Such a brilliant spell of bowling. Skied down the ground, and that's out of the park. Okay, so my jinx works yet again. Couple of dots, but then a big 6 over long off. You'll accept all of these that you can if you are Kings 11 Dallas. It's a great strike, too. Most lower order batters would look to take that over long on, particularly from a right-handed off spinner. That's a clean strike over the top of long off. And you need, again, as many of these as you can manufacture. Eshwar Sodi and Sanchit Sandhu are at the crease. Eshwar Sodi now 9 from 7. Sanchit Sandhu 3 from 4. 3 balls remaining in the innings. Very full. Tell you what, that length is what Aryan Tamala bowled for the first 2 balls of the over. Dropped it a little bit short the last over, or the last ball rather, but then that's the length that I think he wants to hit the rest of the way. Do not allow the batters to get underneath you. Make them have to hit you from a Yorker length. There it is again. That's stroked away toward deep extra cover. Should just be a single though. And so now it's going to be up to you, Aryan Tamala, to bowl this ball full as you like, looking where that ball went. If you see the replay where that ball pitched, it pitched right in the slot. And so here, if you're Aryan Tamala, you want this ball to be pitching on the popping crease. Last ball of the over, last ball of the innings. 108 runs on the board. Excellent bowling. You take that all day from your off spinner. Have to come back for the second, nothing to lose. And in fact, they don't come back for the second, so they end up with a single. 9 runs come from the over. Not bad at all from Aryan Tamala. And an excellent job of bowling from the entire Metroplex Tracers side. Look at that. Excellent bowling. The lineup looks like Remandar, 18 from 21. Obus Pienaar, top scoring, 29 from 32. Saib Malhotra, 10 from 20. And Ishwar Sodhi, 10 from 8. Those are the only ones that got into double figures. And the bowlers, this tells the story for me. You'll see exactly how well they did, because if you're playing against a side like Kings 11 Dallas, look at those numbers. About the only blemish is Akhtar Shah, fourth from the top, one over, cost 11 runs. Nush Kenjige with economy rate of 2, Matthew Trump economy rate of 4.75, Aaron Tamala, even with that 6, economy rate of 3.65, so 109 runs. Target will be 110. Let's take a look at the highlights the rest of the way. There's the first wicket, Shubham Ranjane, and Corey Anderson whipping the first ball away for 6, but then this next delivery just bang on target. You cannot bowl a better delivery. And Remandar got into the hitting mood for a minute, but he was dismissed, skied into the deep. Clean catch taken there by Geeth Bolisetti. Ali Sheikh tried to hit his way out of trouble, but then skies this one. Clean catch taken by Geeth Bolisetti again. Lofted down the ground. Obus Pienaar tried when he was there. This is close, but I believe this is hitting the top of leg stump. Struck down the ground, but the bowlers, I think, look at that catch. Struck right back to the bowler, took it himself. And then some ordinary running toward the back end of the innings. A pretty straightforward catch here. Aaron Tamala, look at this, played into the offside, looking to come back for the second run. Clean pickup, fired. That, in a nutshell, is the way that the innings went. Good strike down the ground for 6. But all in all, I think you're operating with about 40 more runs, or 40 runs fewer than what you'd have wanted. 110 will be the target. 10-minute break for us. We'll be silent here for a while and come back to see whether or not this can be hauled over by the Metroplex Tracers. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Prairie View Cricket Complex. Field number 5. Halfway through this game, you have seen what I believe to be a really interesting match. And it's been interesting because the side that you've seen, the MetroPlex Tracers, I've said it all along that they've been batting above their weight, or punching above their weight, if you will, to use a boxing analogy. You will have a target of 110. And the two batters who are making their way to the middle are two of the better batters in this young side. MetroPlex Tracers featuring the left-handed Ansh Boje and the right-handed Aryan Tamala. Ansh Boje did not bowl. He's a right-handed leg spinner, but more to the point, in this specific circumstance, he's an aggressive left-handed opener. He's at the non-striker's end, bottom right of your screen. The man taking his guard currently, that is Aryan Tamala. He's also an all-rounder. You saw him with the ball in hand earlier. Excellent bowling spell. And now you'll see whether or not the bowlers of the team that probably is a little bit shell-shocked, Kings 11 Dallas, we'll see whether or not they can sort of maneuver themselves into a position to make this a competitive game. Now, 110 as a target is not a very big target. However, runs on the board, I can keep saying it, runs on the board is something to pay attention to. Sanchit Sandhu will have something to say about this. Good delivery, lifting, well played in the end by Aryan Tamala, and it is kept down. Interesting, you're going to see a really good start here. Sanchit Sandhu with the new ball in hand. Oh, my apologies. We'll wait for the scorecard to come up. We'll correct that as soon as we can. But new bowler, as we get the scorecard underway. Ansh Boje and Aryan Tamala, the two batters. And then, there we go. Eswar Sodhi is the new bowler. My apologies. So we've seen Eswar Sodhi. Now facing up to the left-handed Ansh Boje. 1 run on the board. The target is relatively low. Aryan Tamala and Ansh Boje can get there if they score in singles. All you need the rest of the way in order to win is a runner ball. A runner ball wins this sometime in the 19th over. So your required rate 5.5. It's a great delivery, bang on target. It's interesting because in order to win this match, you get the sense that the Kings 11 Dallas will have to take wickets. I don't think you win this match by holding them to, say, 98 for 7. My apologies. So Eswar Sodhi, I think, in order to take wickets with the new ball, would have to bowl a fuller length than what you've seen him bowl so far. Cutaway over the top. Ansh Boje will feast on those all day. And to the point I was making, if you are going to bowl the new ball, it has to be a fuller length. You saw the fuller length that Shubham Ranjane bowled. You saw it clean bowl Corey Anderson when he batted earlier. That length, short and not quite as wide as it seemed, but at that length, you can get under them and help yourself to runs over the offside. And for me, that is an error in tactics. If you're going to use the new ball, it has to be a fuller length. And let's see whether or not he makes that adjustment. That's a little bit better. Still, for me, a little bit short if you're going to be looking to take wickets at the new ball. Look at this again. And just wide and cut away. Ansh Boje taking free runs there, given away by Eswar Sodhi. And once again, you saw how Corey Anderson was dismissed earlier. Eswar Sodhi would have taken note of that. And again, I said this earlier, with the ball being new, Doesn't stay new forever, so while it's still new, you want to take advantage of the potential to swing it, which is why you want to bowl at fuller length. For me, again, this is a very short length. You'll get a single. You've conceded 6 runs from the over with 1 ball remaining, but if you're in wicket hunting mode, I'd really want to see a fuller length being bowled by the bowler. In any event, 1 ball remaining over number 1, MetroPlex Tracers, chasing 110 for victory. There are 104 runs needed from the next 115 balls, so your required rate is 5.43. You don't mind that if you're batting side, because you know that you can literally do nothing but hit singles the rest of the way and win this innings, or win this match. A dot closes things out. Over number 1 is complete. The score is 6 without loss. Obus Pienaar. One of the advantages of being an all-rounder is that you can impact the game in a number of different ways. With the bat, Obus Pienaar scored 29 runs, top scored for his side. But he is a brilliant bowler with the ball, and particularly to the left-handed Ansh Boje. Watch for the arm ball. The arm ball that goes across the left-handed batter. That's why, excuse me, that's why you have a fielder at first slip. That is going to be Saeed Malhotra standing at first slip. Paddle around the corner for Ansh Boje, looking to see whether or not you can get something going here. Obus Pienaar is going to be hunting for wickets. You need wickets if you are the Kings 11 Dallas. Once again, at the risk of belaboring the point, you're not going to hold them to a score like 95, 96 runs unless you bowl them out. If they bat all the way through 20 overs without being bowled out, you'd have to think that they'll win the game. Now, the majority of the runs that you expect may be coming from the top 3, top 4. And let's go through what the bowlers have done, or make that the batters have done so far. Leading batter on the side, Ansh Boje, 5 matches, 169 runs, 18 fours, 6 sixes, 150, high score of 77. Average of 42.25, which is a great average for an opener, excuse me. So average 42.25, but the strike rate is what is impressive, 136 as a strike rate. So you're expecting a lot from Ansh Boje. Second leading batter in the side, Shubham Ranjane, captain. 129 runs on the season, average of 43, but a strike rate of 181. Joshua Trump, number 3 leading batter in the side, 101 runs, high score of 60, average of 25. His twin brother Matthew, 4th leading batter, 74 runs on the season, average of 74. And average doesn't mean much when you're talking about Matthew Trump because of the way averages are calculated. That's lofted in the air. That's going to clear him it off. Running down toward the boundary and go for 4. Lovely strike from Ansh Boje. You've seen him do this a lot. Closes out over number 2 with a boundary, and that is 4 to close out that over. 12 is the score after 2 overs. That replay again, not a lot wrong with that delivery. Maybe if you had to criticize it, you'd say it would have been maybe just a little bit too full. Ansh Boje is not a very tall man, probably around 5'7" if I had to guess. And so you'd have to make him reach for it. You don't mind that line, but the length should be one that makes him have to come out of the crease to come to reach for it. This time just playing that big shot from the crease itself. So, a productive over. 2 great overs in the books if you are the MetroPlex Tracers. 12 without loss. Two overs up. 12 without loss. Looks for the slash. Aaron Tamala not making contact with it. So you see a good start here for the MetroPlex Tracers. You're looking upward at a pretty tricky chase, but the idea behind going for a chase where you're looking for runs, you're not chasing 180, you're chasing 110. So in some ways that can sometimes put you in a shell, almost like you want to put away a natural game in order to make sure that you don't get out. However, I think you've done the right thing here if you're MetroPlex Tracers. Hit the ball if it's there to be hit. Otherwise, just keep it there or thereabouts. Don't take any risks. Couple of dots to start over number 3. Third over being bowled here by Ishwar Sodhi. This is his second. And you are hunting for wickets. I made this point in the last over. A fuller length as a pace bowler is what you'd want to be looking for here to get wickets. You don't mind bending your back and getting a short ball in there every once in a while, but the stock delivery, I think, needs to be fuller. Ask the batters to hit, or at least come on the front foot. That didn't go where he was looking to play for it, but he gets 4 runs anyway. Looking to play that square. The top edge flies down to deep third, and it flies fine, and it goes away for 4. I want to see this again, and I want to see the length that is being bowled, because I keep emphasizing maybe the length isn't as much the issue on that ball as it was the line. Very wide outside the line of off stump, and that presents a scoring opportunity for Aaron Tamala. Just looking to slash that one away through the offside. So yet another productive over on the way here for MetroPlex Tracers, and as I say that, he takes out leg stump. What a brilliant comeback ball. That is the ball that you're looking for. I've been asking for it for the longest time. A fuller length is what you want. Those full length balls are the ones that are most dangerous when the ball is new. And that full length is what you get here. Look at this, where this ball is pitching. This ball is pitching on, maybe just on off stump. But again, the length is the issue here. It is full. You bowl that full length with the new ball, that is where you get wickets. And the lesson to be learned there, as I've said a number of times already, the ball does not stay new for very long. You have to take advantage of it when it's new. Induce the batter to come forward. That is where you get your wickets. First wicket down, the score is 16 for 1. Well, that replay again tells the story. Beautiful delivery on the stumps. See where that ball hits the off stump. That ball hits the off stump maybe halfway up. You hear the coaches tell you that you bowl a length that will allow the ball to be hitting the top of off stump. That was even fuller than the top of off stump length. And maybe if you wanted to be critical of Aryan Tamala, you should say that he should probably have gotten more in line. But for me, the story there is the length, the fuller length that is bowled that takes wickets. And now Joshua Trump, which is interesting because Joshua Trump is one of the leading batters in the side. He's the second, make that the third leading batter in the side. Interesting that you open the batting today with Aryan Tamala. Aryan Tamala is typically not the regular opener. The openers are usually this pair right here, Joshua Trump and Ansh Boje. So in effect, you've gotten 16 bonus runs and you're opening with a brand new pair here. Joshua Trump facing the fuller ball. I say the fuller ball, my apologies. He actually pulled the length back on that one. Joshua Trump defending it off the back foot. But it is going to be interesting to see whether Eshwar Sodhi has learned the lesson that he needs to learn. For me, that fuller length is the one that you want. And let's see whether or not that's what he provides here. That's the length. They go for quick single. Oh, I'll tell you what, that's not far away from being another wicket. Adam Khan is the one with the clean pickup in the covers, and a shy at the stumps almost saw the back of Joshua Trump. So maybe just nervous times here for the MetroPlex Tracers. End of the over. Look at this play again. Played into the offside. This should give us a good look. Joshua Trump, oh, nowhere near. He did not even, oh, if that is another maybe 6 inches to the left, Joshua Trump is dismissed. So he might consider himself lucky there. He lives to fight another day. End of over number 3. Things are getting interesting. 17 for 1. So, Sanchit Sandhu, even though your scorecard says Amshi De Silva, it's actually Sanchit Sandhu who is bowling. This is his first ball of over number 4. So, Sanchit Sandhu, right arm pacer. I think you'll see that this team is essentially going to be looking to see how they can make further inroads into the side. Cutaway, there's a man down there. Interesting that you've started out bowling here. Sanchit Sandhu is the 7th leading bowler in the side. 6 matches. He's taken 2 wickets. Conceded 62 runs, so his average is 31. Best bowling, 2 for 30. Economy rate of 8.86. So for me, you're just asking him to be there or thereabouts. Don't want to take any chances. Don't want anything to be going down the leg side. Don't want any loose deliveries. Just assist in building pressure. That's what you want to see from this opening bowler. Ansh Boje now back on strike. Ansh Boje 10 from 7. Joshua Trump 2 from 4. Interesting field. The fielders in the deep, only 2 allowed outside. Both are square of the wicket. There's a deep point and a deep backward square leg. Down the leg side to that deep backward square leg. So a couple of singles after the initial dot ball. So you're into over number 4. Now you're down to the last 99 balls. You need 91 runs. So it is the stage of the innings where, as the batting side, the MetroPlex Tracers, you have to remind yourself, we are ahead in this game. And yes, we've lost a wicket, but we have a pair at the crease who is more than capable. We just need to make sure we don't take any chances. Played into the offside, quick single. So more than happy to do it in singles at this stage. Last 2 balls coming up over number 4. Sanchit Sandhu improving so far on his economy rate. Economy rate coming in 8.86. Just 3 singles in his first over here. So once again, what you're asking from him is just to don't do any damage. You don't necessarily have to have him take wickets, but you want to have him help build pressure. You build pressure by being economical. In the air, deep mid-wicket for 6. What a strike by Ansh Boje. You cannot bowl to his pads. Absolutely cannot bowl to Ange Boje's pads. And he absolutely blasts this one almost down onto Highway 290 going toward Austin. And look at this last delivery again. We'll see the replay. Look where this ball is. Swinging in, but it's going to be toward his pads. Looking at it live, I thought it was more straight. So it was actually not as bad a ball as Ange Boje made it look. But if you're going to be bowling that length, or that line rather, you probably want a slightly fuller length that the batter cannot get underneath it. In other words, you're probably looking for a delivery similar to the one that was bowled to Corey Anderson earlier. That was a similar type of ball. Didn't swing quite as much as that one from Shubham Ranjane. But for me, the length is one. You want that length to be a little bit fuller. Last ball coming up here, over number 4. Better length. Played into the offside. No run. 9 runs, though, come from that over. Good over eventually for the MetroPlex Tracers. Ange Boje is looking dangerous. 17 from 10. Score is 26 for 1. So one of the subplots for me going into the rest of this match is, at what point do you turn to your spinners? You're into over number 5 now, so 2 remaining in the power play to include this one that's about to be bowled. Obus Pienaar, primary spinner, has bowled 1 over, but you have Syed Malhotra in the side. He's a leg spinner. You have Adam Khan is a leg spinner. You have Ali Sheikh, who is a left-handed orthodox bowler, so effectively like a leg spinner, turning the ball away from the righties. And the batting unit for the MetroPlex Tracers is primarily right-handers, with the exception of Ange Boje. So an interesting subplot for me will be when you turn to spin, because you saw that spin did wonders in the first innings. This is now bowler coming in for the first time, Amshi De Silva. Quick single here. That's well fielded. So you want to pick up the singles when you can. And Amshi De Silva has conceded a single off his second ball of his over. So a couple of deliveries into over number 6. Make that over number 5. Amshi De Silva bowling to the pair of Ange Boje, 17 from 10. Joshua Trump, 4 from 7. Watch for Ange Boje here. That's going to be wide. Thuds into the gloves of wicketkeeper batter Saqlain Haider. But you certainly want to have a clean bowling spell by these bowlers. You cannot give away runs if you're only defending 110. That is the first wide, so it's not like it's an issue yet, but you just don't want it to become an issue. Have to bowl the ball in such a way that the batters will be able to play them. Great delivery, short delivery, lifting. Ange Boje eventually playing that very well. Up on his toes. So going back to the point I was making, I talked about bowling a fuller length. You certainly want to bowl a fuller length, but if you have the pace of Amshi de Silva, you can certainly bend your back and bowl a short delivery every once in a while. Doesn't mean that all of the balls that you bowl are going to be short, but just to let the batter know that you do have that capability. But the stock delivery that you bowl, I would think would want to be on the fuller side. Wrapped on the pad. Umpire McFinn Frederick does not have a decision to make. That was less of an appeal and more of excitement by the fielding pair, or the fielding side. Last 10 balls make that last 8 balls of the power play coming up. They are scoring at the exact rate of a run a ball. 28 balls bowled, 28 runs on the board. 82 runs needed in the next 92 balls. Partnership by this pair worth 12. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful piece of fielding at backward point. Almost results in a wicket. Boy, Ansh Boje, I think, thought that that ball got through backward point. And that's a great piece of fielding in that spot. Remandar, watch this. Played into the offside, and this would have found Ansh Boje short. Or would it? Yep, he'd have been short by maybe a half a foot had that been a direct hit. Now, having said that, we don't have instant replay, and that's a very difficult decision to give to the naked eye by the umpires. So glad that we would not have had to make that call. This is more conventional. Played into the offside. Brilliant first over bowled by Amshi de Silva. 2 runs coming from it. End of 5, 28 for 1. Look at this again. Look at that excellent diving stop and then up and firing and just missing. As a matter of fact, that is a brilliant piece of fielding. I said that was brilliant. That's Remandar in that area, backward point. Some of your best fielders on the cricket side are at backward point, and you see why it benefits you to have your good fielders in that spot. 5 overs in the books. This is turning into a really interesting game. A quarter of the runs have been scored, and a quarter of the target has been acquired, and you've gotten through a quarter of the innings. So, needing to score at the rate from now on of 5.47. They're scoring at the rate of 5.6. Run rate at the start required was 5.5. So all those numbers in close proximity as Obus Pienaar comes in to bowl now the last over of the power play. Bowling to to Joshua Trump. It's played into the offside, no run. So this becomes interesting. After this over, you will be outside of the power play. You would have a bevy of spinners. It would be interesting to see when you turn to those spinners. And again, you have 2 established leg spinners in the side. That would be Adam Khan and Saeed Malhotra. It is also the case that you have Ali Sheikh, who's a left-handed orthodox bowler, so he'd be turning the ball also away from the righties. Pay attention to when that decision is made. And part of the calculus might be we have a left-hander, Ansh Boje, who is at the crease. If you bring on a leg spinner or a left-handed orthodox spinner, he can take advantage of the ball turning into him. So that is part of the calculus as well. Off the back foot, Joshua Trump launched down the ground. Don't think it will go to the fence. And Sanchit Sandhu will be there to prevent it from going in that direction. A couple more runs. Joshua Trump, for me, is going to be key. And Ansh Boje has been very aggressive, 17 from 14. Joshua Trump now 6 from 11. But if he gets going, he absolutely can take apart this bowling attack. Pulls it to deep mid-wicket. There's a man out there that is Adam Khan. When do you bring on Adam Khan? So maybe the decision also has to do with when it is that either Ansh Boje or Joshua Trump or both get dismissed. Because Joshua Trump, with the ball leaving him as a right-hander from the leg spinners, is absolutely brilliant through the offside. particularly going over extra covers. So it's not necessarily to your advantage as a bowling side to be bowling at a right-hander if the right-hander is Joshua Trump. So pay attention to that the rest of the way. Last ball coming up in the power play. Short, spanked in the air. Adam Khan has work to do. Won't go all the way for 4. An easy 2 to close out things in over number 5. Make that over number 6. 5 runs coming from the over. 33 for 1 after 6. Let's look at the highlights of the power play. An interesting one. Cutaway over the top, Anchboje. And there's that shot again. That one didn't quite go where Aaron Tamalo was looking for it. This is a great delivery, full and straight. Getting rid of him. That shot from Anchboje so far is the shot of the match. For me, with that ball swinging in, you want the length to be a lot fuller and not allow the batter to get underneath it. Didn't quite learn that lesson, and Anchboje makes him pay for it. 6 overs in. Maybe you think the advantage as of right now is with the MetroPlex Tracers. They've only lost 1 wicket, and your two of your best batters are at the side, at the crease. Anchboje and Joshua Trump. Anchboje 19 from 15, Joshua Trump 17 from 10. And again, the score is 17 for 1. I'm sorry, 33 for 1. Going back to Amshi De Silva for over number 7. By the way, we do need to point out that Corey Anderson, who you saw bat earlier, got what I believe to be the ball of the match so far. Corey Anderson came in carrying an injury, and from what I understand, is unfit to take the field, and so he is off the field. And just from observation, it appears as though Obus Pienaar is the stand-in captain. This ball flicked away into the deep outside of the power play now, so you can be more aggressive with your field settings. There are 3 outside. You can have as many as 5. Make that 4. My apologies. There is a long on and long off. Oh, I'm sorry. There's deep fine leg and deep third. There's a deep point and then a sweeper on the offside, on the leg side. Of course, these positions all change for either the righty or the lefty. But essentially, the bowler is bowling a length that will induce the batters to play either square of the wicket or behind the wicket for both the lefty and the righty. So pay attention to that the rest of the way. No single there. And looking very active in the field. If you're going to defend a below par score, it is going to be to your advantage to be sharp in the field and not have any extras, or have as few extras as possible. As of right now, 34 runs on the board. Only 1 of those is an extra. That was a wide. So you're doing good on that score. But you also need wickets. Where are you going to get them from? Worked around the corner. Maybe that ball's staying a little bit low. Good piece of fielding in the deep. That appears to be Sanchit Sandhu on the deep fine leg boundary. So a couple of singles to start over number 7, the post power play overs. I said a couple of singles. There's 2 of the first 3 balls that have been singles. And from your position now, you're looking to see, again, if you're looking to take wickets, how are you going to get wickets? With the field in the deep, maybe you test him with a short ball here. Worked into the leg side, Saib Malhotra. So, a very long way to go, but 80 balls remaining and you need 9 wickets, and there's only 75 runs remaining. So, your current run rate, 5.25. Your required rate, 5.63. It's going up. You don't need it to be going up, but it's still less than a run a ball. So singles alone is all you should be looking for, all you need to be looking for at this stage. Back to the bowler here, no run. But of course, every time you get a dot ball, that makes the required rate go up. And Amshi De Silva, I think, doing his best to keep the pressure on. Just 4 runs conceded from his spell so far, and only 1 ball remaining in the second over. Last ball coming up. Obus Pienaar at mid-off is the stand-in captain, and he is doing, I think, a really good job, and his bowlers are supporting him in the way that they need to. Last ball, over number 7. Oh, great ball, goes past the outside edge. End of over number 7. Score is 35 for 1. $35 for 1 is your score. 75 runs needed in the next 7 to 8 balls. So things are getting tighter from that standpoint. The bowlers have been doing what you've needed for them to do for the most part. The batters, I think, are being very careful. The second wicket partnership right now, worth 19 and building, but here's the answer to one of the questions I've been asking. At what point are you going to turn to spin? Well, you've now gone to Adam Khan, the young leg spinner. Adam Khan is a U21 player, and he is a tremendous young bowler. 4th leading bowler in the side, has taken 3 wickets. What's impressive about Adam Khan is his economy rate, 6.86. Second lowest economy rate of all the players in the side, but he's bowling to the lefty. So let's see what this matchup looks like. Oh, full toss, and it gets the treatment over square leg for 6. Watch the square leg umpire here. No ball signal. It was definitely a full toss. Let's see if we can pick up where this ball would have passed. Oh my goodness, that would have to be considered at least close to being a no ball, and it goes for 4. I think that there will be some introspection about that last delivery, because it very well could have been adjudged as a no ball on height. Of course, any delivery that is above waist height, full toss, is a no ball by definition. And I think Adam Khan might consider himself lucky there that that was not adjudged as a no ball. Maybe we'll get another chance to look at that, but for me, this is, the ball was dipping, but Ansh Boje is a relatively short man, as I said, somewhere around 5'7", and so for me, at that length, it appears as though that would have been a full toss over waist height. But that's water under the bridge at this stage. 5 from the first 2 balls of the over. Great ball, outside edge found. So the matchup is the one that you'd want between Adam Khan and the right-handed Joshua Trump. Watch this delivery, because the ball is turning. Interesting, down on the boundary right here in front of us. Sahib Malhotra is also warming up. So I don't know if you're going to go to a double leg spin attack sometime in the next couple of deliveries. 2 balls remaining here in over number 8. So we'll pay attention to the next bowling change. For me, with this pitch showing the ability to take turn, it will not be the worst idea to have 2 leg spinners bowling in tandem. Short and rocketed in the air and goes towards square leg for yet another boundary. So that was a powerfully struck ball from Joshua Trump. This length is, to me, well too short. You see the powerful stroke there played by Joshua Trump. Gets it in the gap between mid-wicket and square leg. And for me, this ball, you lose the advantage of being a leg spinner if you're going to bowl that length. The ball has to be a lot fuller. Don't want it to be half volley length, but you also don't want it to be so short that you can be a victim of a cross-batted shot. That's a much better line, or length rather, for me. Played down the ground for a single, but the first over bowled by Adam Khan is an expensive one. 10 runs coming from it. End of over number 8. Score is 45 for 1. So 45 for 1. Some of the pressure has been taken off from that over. And there you see in the middle of your screen, it is in fact Saeed Malhotra. There's that replay again. Okay, so I want to see if we can take a look at that again, because that ball to me would have been a full toss above waist height. Any event, there's a bowling change that we just alluded to. That is going to be a double leg spin attack. Saeed Malhotra. See on that replay, look again. This might be able to give us a good look here. Look where he plays it from. Oh, I would have to think that this is above waist height. So we may just consider ourselves lucky here if we're Adam Khan. Could have conceded not just a 6, or not just a 4, but also a free hit. But a different kind of a leg spin here. Adam Khan is much shorter, pushes some through at pace, tosses some up, so very wily. But Saeed Malhotra is a lot quicker through the air and is a lot taller. So let's see how it goes here against Joshua Trump. Scoop shot by Joshua Trump, going down toward deep fine leg for 4. So welcome to the attack, Saeed Malhotra. The first ball going away down to deep fine leg for another 4. And that essentially puts all the pressure on the bowler. So consecutive overs from leg spinners, overs 8 and over 9. And Joshua Trump picking that ball up from well outside the line of off stump. It started outside off, was turning away the regulation leg break, but he still helps it down to fine leg for a boundary. And 61 runs needed from 71 balls. The scoring rate is picking up. You've actually gotten right now to exactly run a ball. Joshua Trump stroking this one down the ground. That brings up the 50. And you have a clean 60 runs needed from the next 70 balls. So runs all of a sudden have appeared to be a lot easier to come by in the last couple of overs. 10 coming from over number 8. 5 so far from the first 2 balls of over number 9. This is yet another interesting matchup because this is the left-handed Ansh Boje with the ball turning into him from the leg spinner. So the area on the leg side is in full target, which includes where we are here in the commentary booth. It's well played by Ansh Boje. The thing about Ansh Boje that you like is that, yes, he's very aggressive, but he's not reckless. If the ball is tossed up, then he certainly has the ability to go running down the track to hit over the top, but does not so far seem like he's taking any risks. Doing it relatively conservatively here. Stroked into the offside. Ansh Boje now up to 26 from 21 balls faced. 2 deliveries remaining here in over number 9. If you ask for a win predictor, my win predictor right now would be MetroPlex Tracers 60, the Kings 11 Dallas 40. And I know a number of people who will disagree with me on that, including a few I spoke to in the mid-innings break. But as of right now, one team seems to have the advantage. Adam Khan can't get to that one. That's played into the deep. So little by little, you're getting the runs that you need. 7 runs from the over already. Eswar Sodi, the man in the deep, who fielded that ball. Last ball coming up here in over number 9. A productive over so far. 10 came from over number 8. 7 so far from over number 9. In the air, catch it is the cry, but really nobody close by. Do they want to? Look at Joshua Trump, fleet-footed, and an easy 2-9 come from over number 9. That goes the way you want it if you're the MetroPlex Tracers. Now, I will tell you, as of right now, the score being 54 for 1, you're almost at the halfway stage. Look at this. Joshua Trump immediately recognizing the chance for that second run, and there's no real danger in going for that second run. I mentioned that these are all very young men, And they have absolutely grabbed the bull by the horns and are handling the chase in a very effective way. So it's up to the bowlers. The bowlers have work to do here. 54 for 1. Last 66 balls rather needed, and they need 56 runs. And things are getting more and more tight if you're the Kings 11 Dallas. Once again, Kings 11 Dallas top side in the division. That puts you in danger of falling out of that top spot if you lose this game. Very closely packed this division, and remember, only the top 2 teams from each division make it into the playoffs. If the playoffs started at this very second at 4:46 Central Time, it will be the Kings 11 Dallas and Chicago Kingsmen who would be the representatives from the Central Division. But we'll watch to see how that changes here in the next 11 overs. Ali Sheikh into the attack. First ball struck away over the top for 6. I mentioned that Joshua Trump is strong in that area, particularly over extra cover. That is one of his favorite scoring areas. And Ali Sheikh gets a very rude welcome into the bowling attack. Look at this delivery again. Just absolutely brilliant. Striking it so cleanly. And that is a 70-yard boundary. And he clears it by a few yards. So pretty straight, a pretty clean hit from Joshua Trump. Ali Sheikh now, there you see him in the middle of your screen, needing to find the right line and more particularly the right length. That length was one that did not require Joshua Trump coming out of this crease. Look at that. Look where the ball pitches, right there, essentially where the grass stops and the dirt starts. That is almost by definition in the slot. So if you want to bowl that line, the length has to be shorter. You have to ask Joshua Trump to come down the track, because at that length and that line, he will absolutely destroy you. It's a better length, punch down the ground for a single. Maybe on another day you go maybe just a touch fuller, but anything that is in the slot, which is where that first ball was, those essentially are deliveries that can be scored off of, particularly to a batter who scores heavily through the offside, to a right-handed batter who scores through the offside. Now, over to you, Ansh Boje. Partnership building. The partnership is now worth 45. Ansh Boje, 28 from 22. Joshua Trump, 26 from 25. Oh, work down the ground. So 8 from the first 3. 48 needed from 63. Required rate is on its way down. That man to the right has a very worried look on his face. That is Lovekesh Kalia. He is the owner of Kings 11 Dallas. And each one of these singles takes you that much closer and increases the, let's call it the indigestion on Mr. Kalia's face. 2 balls remaining, over number 10. Going into the last over here before the water break. Catch it is the cry. Simple catch. Oh my goodness. Did Ansh Boje just give it away? Absolutely nothing worth threatening about that delivery. Ansh Boje off the back foot just guides it really into the hands of Eshwar Sodhi down at deep cover. And looking at this, Eshwar Sodhi coming off of the ropes and about the most simple regulation catch that you can imagine. That, I believe, is a body blow, because that has gotten rid of your most aggressive and your top-ranked batter. Ansh Boje dismissed on the stroke of the water break, and in fact, we will take the water break now. The players are coming on for that exact reason. 1 ball remaining in over number 10. The MetroPlex Tracers have the game in hand if they do not mess this up. A couple of highlights here. And a few shots here being played by the opening batters. This delivery here is one of the best ones that you've seen, going right through Aaron Tamala. Ansh Boje with a couple of big shots. That, I think, should have been a no ball. And on the way here to what, in theory, could be a pretty convincing victory. But you do have to bat properly. You do have to bat with purpose. And that last ball that you just saw there, that catch, means that this game is by no means over. 1 ball remaining in over number 10. Water break for the players. We'll go silent here for a minute. We'll be back soon. Six to 3 for 2. Last ball remaining in over number 10. Joshua Trump on strike. The new batter at the crease is his twin brother Matthew. You're halfway through the chase. You still have the game in hand if you are the MetroPlex Tracers, but things just got a little bit trickier. End of 10. The score is 6 to 3 for 2. Okay, so you continue with the ball leaving the right-handers. This will be made a little bit more simple with the dismissal of Ansh Boje. A couple of highlights once again. Saeed Malhotra back into the attack. Bowled 1 over. It went for 10 runs. Oh, spanked into the deep. And that goes, I believe that went all the way for 6. No, it just went for 4. Off the back foot is Matthew Trump, and he helps himself to 4 runs to start over number 11. And you cannot bowl long hops to any good batter, and particularly not Matthew Trump, because he will feed on those all day. Next delivery. Big hit for 6. Well, this one was not a long hop, it's a full toss. And that goes out of the ground. So a 4 and a 6 start over number 11. Over number 9, which is the first one that was bowled by Saeed Malhotra, went for 9. My apologies. Earlier I said 10, I meant 9. But no doubt about where the first 2 balls of this over have gone. First the 4 to mid-wicket, and then that full toss straight down the ground. Matthew Trump puts it away. Oh, my apologies. I am absolutely sorry. Matthew Trump is still in the crease, or still in the hutch. The new batter is Shubham Ranjane, and it is Joshua Trump who's still batting. Take back everything I just said about Matthew Trump for the last few minutes, because that's been his brother Joshua who's still at the crease. He's now up to, the scorecard will be correct sometime shortly, but long way of saying the batting side is on top, and this is another huge hit, and that is 6 more. 4-6-6 to start over number 11, and Joshua Trump is absolutely on fire. When the scorecard updates, we'll get his exact score, but let's just say that he is dragging his team to within what is shouting distance of a pretty emphatic victory here. 31 runs needed in the next 57 balls. The required rate is down to 3.2. Look at this, in the slot. That is the definition of in the slot, and it is drilled down the ground. Cannot bowl that ball to any batter of repute, and certainly not Joshua Trump, who is now up to 43 from 29. Captain Shubham Ranjan is at the non-striker's end, watching the view from that end. And I'll tell you what, this is going to be a short game if the bowlers don't start doing something different. Is this a wicket? Not convinced is umpire McVin Frederick. The collection by Suckling Hader. Look at this delivery. Leg spinner, ball coming down, kind of bat coming down from second slip. And nothing on the edge, but the bowling side, I think, just wanted to beg for something there. Cut away, running away down the hill, Sanchit Sandhu after it. Will he get there? He will pull it back a couple of feet inside the rope. A couple more runs. An expensive over continues. 18 runs from it with last ball to come. And let's suffice it to say that the spinners for the Kings 11 Dallas have not been anywhere near as effective as the spinners for MetroPlex Tracers. Last ball over number 11. Smoked down the ground for 4 more. What an over. Joshua Trump up to 49 from 32. The score is 85. Make that, 85 for 2. 25 needed in the last 9 overs. Boy, that length again. It is right in the slot, exactly where Joshua Trump wants it. And the turn to spin has not worked. The score is 85 for 2. The scoring rate has gone all the way up to 7.85. And fewer than 3 runs and over are needed the rest of the way. So, there, top of your screen, the middle, it is going to be Amshi De Silva to come back into the attack because, again, spin has not worked. The last several overs of spin have gone for plenty runs. First over of spin, not counting Obus Pienaar, was Adam Khan. Since Adam Khan bowled over number 8, over 8 went for 10, over 9 went for 9, over 10 went for 9 as well, over 11 just went for all of 22 runs. So a lot of runs flowing in the last several overs. And now Obus Pienaar, the standing captain, has gone back to pace. Amshi De Silva bowled 2 overs already, overs 5 and 7. Now into bowl over number 12. And boy, maybe too little too late at this stage because just another 25 runs needed. First ball here to Shubham Ranjane. Whipped around the corner, should just be a single. Ashwash Sodhi is the fielder in the deep. Joshua Trump, 49 from 32, has grabbed the bull by the horns. We did not acknowledge it, but a tremendous partnership is underway. And even though the second wicket partnership was worth 47, but already this partnership worth 23, and it looks like it's building. Peel for leg before. Umpire Owen Brown not interested. Here's your leg by signal. Boy, a ton of activity all of a sudden. This batting pair, let's look at this replay again. Joshua Trump, this is what he did in the last over. 4, 6, 6. And then down the ground for 4. Absolutely brilliant batting. 49 from 32. Solid in defense. You're down to the last 3 balls in over number 12. I will not say who I was speaking to earlier to include not saying what side this person represents, but they predicted that the game would be finishing over number 16. And it will probably not even need to go that far if this pair keeps doing what they're doing now. Next delivery. Lofted in the air. That sails away for 6. Shubham Ranjane joins the hitting party. What an absolutely brilliant strike that one is. Got 2 straight. Cannot bowl that straight to Shubham Ranjane. Look at that. He just simply helps himself. Effortless. No flourish in the shot whatsoever. That boundary at square leg is 70 yards. That ball probably travels 75. He simply flicks this away effortlessly off his pads. 17 runs needed for victory. 93 for 2 with 2 balls remaining in over number 12. The last 50 balls of the match. You will not need near that many to win. Helped into the leg side. That is a single. 9 from the over already. What an absolutely brilliant start with the ball, with the bat rather, for the MetroPlex Tracers here in this weekend in the Prairie View Cricket Complex. By the way, if you're anywhere within the Prairie View area, just about 40 miles or so west of the city of Houston, feel free to come watch cricket tomorrow. Tomorrow's match, we'll say who that is after the over. We'll talk about the schedule, but suffice it to say that there is very high level cricket being played right here in Prairie View. Last ball, looks to cut this one away, doesn't get anything on it, doesn't matter. Dot ball to close things out, but still an absolutely brilliant over. Few shots from Joshua Trump. He's on 49 from 34, so not quite to his 50 yet, but he's on the way here. And look at this, a couple of powerful strikes in this last over in particular. 22 runs off his bat, off the bowling of Saib Malhotra, and smoking that last one down the ground. That was as clean a strike as you'll ever see. Joshua Trump, absolutely brilliant stuff so far from the young 19-year-old. Do they even need his twin brother Matthew today? We'll see whether or not that's the case. I think Joshua Trump is asking right now, what is the score? And in fact, we've gone back to pace. Hampshire De Silva. I don't know the answer to that question, sir, but we will we'll talk about that later. Anyway, it's going to be Eshwar Sodhi to continue. Eshwar Sodhi has bowled 2 overs, and he's now bowling to Shubham Ranjane. Spanked square. That is Remandar on the boundary. Joshua Trump now back on strike. Joshua Trump, 49 from 34. Shubham Ranjane, 9 from 6. A small matter of 15 runs needed for victory. 95 for 2 is your score. Scoop shot for 4. That is 50 for Joshua Trump. Oh, now he's making it look easy. 4 runs down to fine leg. He's played that shot a couple of times. The first time was off the leg spinner. This time he helps himself to 4 off the pace bowler. 55, make that 53 from 34 balls faced. There's a scoop shot. He plays that so effectively. It's a safe shot. Nobody inside the circle. And deep square leg was a little too square. And so that is 4 more runs and only another 11 needed. 99 on the board. Here's delivery number 3 in the 13th over. That is short, and that is bouncing. Umpire Owen Brown does not think that it's above head height. And so it goes as the one short ball for the over, but you do not see it punished with a wide. And just to say more about that, a delivery that bounces above shoulder height is considered a short ball. Short ball, you're only allowed 1 per over. If a short ball bounces above the head of the batter, not only is it 1 for the over, but it's also considered to be a wide ball, where it's punished, where you concede 1 run and you have to re-bowl a delivery. But umpire Owen Brown thinking that was probably between shoulder and head height, hence not punishing him with a wide. But still only another 11 runs needed for victory. 44 balls remaining, so the required rate is 1.5. Oh, played back past the bowler. Picked up at mid-off. Run through for a single. 10 runs. That single bringing up the 100. All you need for victory the rest of the way is 10 runs, and you have all the 43 balls in which to score them with 8 wickets in hand. So, pretty simple equation. And earlier, if I said the my win predictor was 80. Well, I think I said it was 60-40. Well, it's pretty much more 99-1 at this stage. Last ball over number 13. Appeal for leg before. For me, that is bouncing over the top as umpire McVin Frederick signals leg by. So that is the end of over number 13. For what it's worth, 7 overs remaining, but more accurately, 9 runs is all you have left. Look at this. Yeah, that's high and maybe also dancing down the leg side. So not much going for that shout. End of over number 13, 101 for 2. Scorecard tells you all you need to see there. 54 from 38. Joshua Trump dominating proceedings. Ange Boje got them off to a fast start. 29 from 34. And for the most part, the bowlers have not necessarily been expensive. A couple of expensive overs from the spinners. Ali Sheikh, being the left arm spinner, back into the attack. This is played down the ground. And you're now 2 boundaries away from this game being done and dusted. So this game, one way or the other, will not go the full 20 overs, you don't think. And Ali Sheikh back into the attack. Had an expensive first over, conceded 9 runs. Short and absolutely blasted by Joshua Trump. 2 runs remaining in this match because this long hop is just mauled over mid-wicket. The first time that ball lands is probably on Highway 290. Look at this replay. That length and that line is asking for trouble. See where this lands. It's against the fence. That's a 70-yard boundary where the rope is. That was maybe 15 yards past the rope. So that's probably an 85-yard hit. Joshua Trump, only 2 runs remaining. What a domination so far in this match by the MetroPlex Tracers. Down the ground, catchable. It will land short. The scores are level. If you have 8 wickets that fall right now, you'll be in a super over. I don't know that would even be possible. I don't know that I've ever seen 8 wickets in a row in a cricket match, but 1 run of any flavor wins this match. And that is spanked into the deep. That is in the gap. It is 4. An absolutely dominating performance by the MetroPlex Tracers. They take victory by the margin of 8 wickets. Absolutely brilliant stuff from this batting pair of Shubham Ranjane and Joshua Trump. Did not need all the big guns today or the rest of the big guns. You got off to the fast start with Ange Boje, Joshua Trump, and Shubham Ranjane finished things up. 61 from 40 is where you end up with. Joshua Trump, Shubham Ranjane chipping in 14 from 9. Fast start created by Ange Boje, 29 from 24. All they needed was 13 overs and 4 balls, scored at the rate of 8.27. Didn't even matter that there were only 3 extras because that is total domination. That tells the story. The bowlers, the last 3 really were expensive. Those were all your spinners. The pace bowlers did what they needed to do, but really the onslaught by the batting side really just made this a very one-sided match. And it was a one-sided match, one fields, from the dismissal of Corey Anderson much earlier in the innings or earlier in the match. So the Kings 11 Dallas came into action as the highest ranked team. They're now going down the order. We'll see what that table looks like soon. A few highlights first. Aaron Tamala there with the shot, clean bowled here. That was a great ball by Ishwar Sodhi. Ange Boje, I think, played the role that he needed to, got them off to a fast start, and then saw him take advantage of a couple of loose deliveries there. And then Joshua Trump. The story of the innings is Joshua Trump, particularly that 1 over that he took several runs off of Saeed Malhotra. You see that coming up shortly here. This is the over. First one, long hop, 4. That full toss, 6. Then 6 more. And then a couple of runs down the ground. And then this clean strike for 4 also down the ground. He raises the bat. There wasn't exactly his 50, but that brings up his 50. And I think you've seen there are a couple of big shots and luster blows to end things. Absolutely brilliant. I think for the most part, you will see that the effort from this batting side is one that they'll be very proud of. And so the summary, 109 for 8 is what Kings 11 Dallas ended up with. And the MetroPlex Tracers dominating the chase, 113 for 2, and it feels like they never even got out of third gear. Tremendous performance, and I think on balance you will see a really interesting points table. And here we'll see what the points table looks like. Look who is back on top, the MetroPlex Tracers. 3 wins, 2 losses, Kings 11 Dallas and the MetroPlex Tracers, along with the Kingsmen, all have the same number of points, but the MetroPlex Tracers, by virtue of a superior net run rate, have them for the moment in the top position. And this is going to be an interesting weekend because there are some matches coming up that will certainly impact all of that. So tomorrow, the Lone Star Athletics play against Kings 11 Dallas. St. Louis Americans, Chicago Tigers, a big one, the MetroPlex Tracers and the Exforia Giants. Also, the Kingsmen, who are now in number 3, take on the Michigan Cricket Stars. These are all matches that have tremendous ramifications as it relates to the standings. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join us right here in the Prairie View Cricket Stadium or Cricket Complex for the MetroPlex Tracers. These same MetroPlex Tracers, the youngsters, against the Dallas Exforia Giants. See if the MetroPlex Tracers can hold on to that number 1 spot. We will sign off for the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to bring this game to you. Join us tomorrow afternoon, make that tomorrow morning tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Time for the MetroPlex Tracers and the Dallas Exforia Giants. In the meantime, this is Brian Walters signing off for the evening. Good night and good luck.